There's no way. It's way too much damage. Stop him with the block! He fell charged him!
Oh, he found
wow.
Wow.
Oh,
No, he gets out!
Somewhere there's a covert muffin just applauding this seed.
Holy crap.
Oh man, this is gonna come down to execution in the final escape, isn't it?
Sure is.
Every seed
Our
does.
favorite phrase.
Hello and welcome to today. Yes, today is a day, and indeed we have a wonderful match for you here, featuring LostDedew versus jmal, who are going to be facing off in the Ori and the Blind Forest Randomizer tournament in this indeed current year 2021, part of the lower bracket round 7 in a best of 3 series with all 3 games that are going to be featured right in a row. That being said, my screen name is Covert Muffin, and I am joined by Grimelios on commentary. Grim, how are you doing, my friend?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm pretty excited for this match in particular. jmal has been a titan in the brackets, right? Just getting knocked down to lower bracket right now. And some really kind of like interesting matches where being able to sort of like stick with their better seeded opponents, right? He's seed 30 and he's facing off against Dedew, but he took down like Tri-Knight and some other really potent matchups earlier in the bracket. So it'll be really fascinating to see if they're able to bring their A game here today, right, Grim?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. As you said, with Jamal being seed 30, I actually carefully went back and looked at the bracket prior to this match, with the exception of Jamal's very first win against Rin, which Rin was had a worse seed. Every single win from Jamal has been against higher seeds, which is very impressive. And as we were discussing, This is the randomizer, which means there's always an element of luck, but you get lucky enough times in a row, and you have to consider that Jamal must be playing reasonably well. That doesn't mean that this is going to be an easy matchup, as you can see by that seed differential. Dedew is a very experienced Ori player, longtime community member, and by Dedew's own words, he's not feeling particularly nervous, and has a fair bit of confidence going into this match, probably due to those seed differences.
Yeah, you know, I think out of anybody, Dedew has had the gauntlet to make it through lower bracket best of ones to get to where he is right now in the tournament, right? Taking down Terra and Fluffy, who are 2 staples in the speedrunning community as well as the randomizer community itself, and then taking down Shafe in a best of 1 to just eke into that best of 3 series versus Evo, who is definitely like some of the scariest people that were featured in the tournament itself. So Dedew is feeling a bit confident today. He does understand that he has a bit of an advantage execution wise and routing wise versus jmal, who is a little bit newer to the randomizer. So Dedew is definitely going to be playing safer, maybe trying to check some additional pickups. Buff for this first game in the best of 3 is definitely going to be pushing for those objectives itself. But Grim, we have our runners starting underway. LostDedew is going to be on the left, and jmal is going to be featured on the right, with the respective trackers down below.
Now, another thing to note about the seed is we're playing with the wall-starved flag. I don't think we mentioned that yet. For those unaware, seeds can be generated with various settings. Wall-starved is effectively like a jet seed flag. It's not guaranteed, but it means that some basic skills like wall interaction are going to probably be delayed, which makes it more likely that you find some of the power skills, most notably bash, charge jump, or dash, although many of the skills in this game can be very powerful. I know that Jamal, from some notes he sent us prior to the match, is kind of hoping for a seed that isn't quite so jet, because he believes, as we discussed, that Dedew has an execution advantage. But we'll find out.
Right.
Well, there's the Sunstone, my goodness.
Wow, that is really good news. Sunstone being one of the important keys that we need to unlock one of 2 absolutely required dungeons in every single seed we actually end up playing. That's going to open up Mount Horu, which is going to get us access to the final escape, which is the overall objective. But before our runners are allowed to do that, they do indeed have to activate every single skill location on the map. But Sunstone can be kind of a double-edged sword, right, Grim? It's like one of those things that you're like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to like dig for that in a terrible location. But like, what if Horu itself becomes that terrible location?
Anything could happen. I mean, the nice part about getting that Sunstone early is that you can scrub it from your kind of mental tracker. It means that that's one fewer clue that you have to care about, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to care about other things too. By the way, there's 2 keystones. That's going to bring us further into Glade. Still no skills to speak of, not counting Spirit Flame, which you always get.
Right, 120 EXP in the water. Dedew is going to opt not to keep that. That is definitely the good decision here. But noting that EXP value is required by logic to have clean water in order to be able to dip down and check that. And the EXP value ranges actually vary based on how late in logic a pickup could appear. And of course, those are a range. So that 120 could either mean that it comes up in mid game. It could mean that clean water is somewhere in the late game. But more importantly, Dedew and jmal are going to be able to make additional checks of things in water later on to get a better indication of the probabilities at play. But there we go, Grim, our first skill. And indeed, it is a powerful one. That is going to be Charge Jump, the first of 3 to make up the Holy Trinity itself, but also one of the most important verticality skills in the game.
Yeah, Charge Jump is going to be very powerful to get around, also gaining access to a number of high up pickups, including one of them on the way to Wall Jump, which over on the left we're going to see Dedew get there first just due to some execution advantage. Having Charge Jump early in particular, as compared to some of the other power skills, in my opinion, is solid because of this pickup. It means that you can completely erase Glades from your mental map because you have cleared not all of it, but a large chunk of it.
Yeah, this is going to be exactly what Dedew is hoping to find, right? Very early into the season. Oh no, jmal on the right does take a bit of a death, and so is going to opt to go back through the upper loop and grab those pickups that were lost on taking that death. But definitely worth it, right? The energy cell, the keystone are important, but this is just sort of giving Dedew a little bit more breathing room as they are going to be heading over and heading down into Blackroot Burrows. But Grim, I really like that point you brought up about how like Charge Jump is going to be able to clear those one-off pickups, right? That get generated when you can't get access to them as you're pushing for the objectives, right? So with this early major verticality skill, backtracking is one of the biggest time losses, but Dedew is going to have that extra padding to know that his opponent can't potentially get that advantage by making a weird one-off play to check those pickups later.
Yeah, with an early Charge Jump, you'll also have a choice of where to go. In this seed, we're pretty limited. The 2 choices are pretty much just Spirit Caverns or Blackroot Burrows at this point. Dedew, unsurprisingly, is heading to Blackroots because there's a tree in here that we need. Not having wall interaction can make Blackroot a little bit scary, but with runners with this experience, I don't think they'll run into any problems with wall interaction specifically. It doesn't mean they won't have some other problems, as Dedew took a death. Nice value safety save to prevent very much time loss, though. Looks like he's getting stuck on the spikes a bit. There we go.
Yeah, and so on the right, jmal is going to be going for an energy glitch into the door that we saw Dedew bust out after a few attempts. And yeah, I like this from jmal, right? He tried it, it didn't quite work out. You can't really make use of getting through that door anyway. But basically what jmal was trying to do is get a single energy stuck in and then leave the same frame that the energy got placed in the door. If they do this, then even though they only have 3 maximum energy out of the 4 that you usually require, you can just fully heal your energy up from taking a level up or maybe go to Spearwell and then open that 4 energy door. And Dedew on the left, nice backup strat,
nice
realizing, that they were going to miss that jump and fell down with 1 HP just to the left of some spikes, avoiding death, but also having a quick ascent to get back up into the dungeon.
Yeah, as expected, Dedew has that early lead, partially due to jmal's not too costly, but relatively costly death, along with just general execution advantage from Dedew. I also just want to call attention again to how valuable Dedew's safety saves have been so far. Like, even on the ascent up from that bottom orb area, Dedew took a death or 2, but it didn't really matter because he made good safety saves. It's very smart.
Wow. Yeah, this is a really important thing, especially in a tournament where you might be suffering from some nerves, like especially early in the match. Maybe your hands or your brain are shaking a little bit. And so placing down those safety saves, because you have that energy, right? You're not really going to use the energy for much else. So you may as well drop down some additional saves. But Dedew on the left, entering this cutscene here, we're going to get another information pickup. 39 experience, Grim. So that could potentially mean that Dash is going to be somewhere nice and early within the logic of the seed.
Could mean a lot, yeah. Trying to read into XP pickups can be very valuable, but it's generally more meaningful for high experience pickups rather than low ones. It would certainly be interesting to get Dash. I know that Dedu would probably enjoy it maybe a little more than Jamal. Dash being a very fun skill to use, but Jamal, if Dash was found, would probably feel like it would be more of an advantage to his opponent, I would imagine.
Right, yeah, especially because like at high levels of play, like really difficult final escapes, right? No bash final escapes can be really, really scary. And I know Didu has been practicing a number of those. So early dash could spell a little bit of trouble for jmal, especially because we know that Didu is going to be playing the seed much more aggressive. And so is going to be more sort of apt at taking those situations where he has to put himself through the ringer with those difficult strats.
Yeah, one other interesting aspect of early charge jump is that it puts this boulder area in logic where normally it isn't. Even though you can usually get into this area with a save anywhere, this time Dedu didn't have to do it. Nice job using the Frankie to break the boulder. There's Stomp, although Stomp doesn't open up much right now. They can get down into like the top part of Lost Grove, although I'm trying to think whether any of that's actually in logic. It seems like Spirit Caverns is becoming a very enticing area.
Yeah, so what I'm hoping to see Didu, I love this. Yeah, stopping the peg in order to be able to open up Moon Grotto, which is on the right side of the map. That's going to get him really quick pipeline over to Double Jump Tree. Then potentially, no, he is not going to go for Light Grenade Tree quite yet. Instead, just deciding to go immediately into Moon Grotto and finds Wall Jump for his troubles, Grim.
This is it's amusing to me because we have the wall starved flag, but there's wall interaction. Reminder, of course, that randomizer seeds are generated using a lot of random numbers, which means that these rules we put in place are frequently more suggestions than actual rules.
Right, indeed. And so now Didu, having done some checks on the left side of Grotto, is going to opt not to keep them. Taking a death in the poison water is going to get them access now over to this mini-boss area. So the next question for Didu is Didu going to do the mini-boss, or is he going to instead skip it? No, he's going to opt to do it. This has been a really interesting sort of meta decision throughout the tournament of whether or not our runners end up doing the mini boss or not. And so doing this is definitely saying that he does not want jmal to have an advantage for potentially doing the mini boss. And with charge jump and with stomp, it is actually a very quick enemy to defeat, getting this one pickup over here. But meanwhile, on the right, Grim, jmal, instead of going into Grotto or down to Light Grenade Tree, is instead going to stay within the confines of logic and start moving back over to the left here in Glades to make the checks into Spirit Caverns.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. Both runners have 2 trees right now. Well, I just want to interrupt myself. Dedu just found Double Jump. Now, that pickup is in an obvious enough location that Jamal will almost certainly find it when he goes to Grotto. But having the Double Jump early, along with Wall Jump and Charge Jump, gives you an enormous amount of mobility. Anyway, to finish my thought, both runners have 2 trees. Dedu is moving towards the Double Jump tree. Whatever I was saying doesn't matter.
Yep, so jmal going into Spirit Cavern, staying within the confines of logic. This does put Boulder Escape and Stomp into logic itself, so getting into Grotto with those skills is now in logic. And so jmal finding that dash pickup is going to be potentially massive, because as we know, Didu is going to be playing a little bit more aggressive. He may just like not even go over to Spirit Caverns, right? And jmal making the decision as well to spend those 4 keystones in order to be able to come over to get an early Charge Flame Tree check. This could be potentially massive for jmal in this state of the race.
Well, what I'm thinking is something very specific, which is where is Blue Breakage? Because if Dedu finds Blue Breakage before he hits Spirit Caverns, he almost certainly won't do it, as you suggested. If he doesn't find Blue Breakage, much more likely that he ends up going around there, which will find him dash. So, fingers crossed we actually don't find Blue Breakage for Dedu quite yet.
Yeah, indeed. And so jmal just forgetting they had Stomp there, using the frog key to break the floor. That's okay, that's okay. I mean, I have never forgotten that I've had a skill while playing through a randomizer. Nope. No, I didn't do that just yesterday. Nope, not me. But
this is interesting, though. We're seeing these different checks. Dedu, after reaching the Double Jump Tree, is deciding to go back down into this Lost Grove area. Getting to the Light Grenade Tree isn't in logic until you have dash, which of course Jamal has, but Dedu could very easily do a save anywhere, although it looks like Dedu is continuing to be thorough, checking some of these pickups in the upper part of Lost Grove before heading to Double Jump Tree. Or I'm sorry, Light Grenade Tree.
Yeah, Dedu likes making these checks a lot. This is kind of like a staple element of his routing play in general. But also, I imagine that he's feeling really good after finding all these really useful utility skills over in Moon Grotto. So he feels like he does have that additional buffer room to be able to check these pickups to make sure that his opponent is not going to necessarily net an advantage. And another low EXP value for a pickup that's gated by dash is going to be nice for Dedu as well, right? If Dedu is able to sort of keep track of all of these information EXP pickups as they are progressing through, then they could potentially be able to track down where that dash find is. And us as casters know that it was very early in Logic Indeed. It was indeed over in Spirit Caverns and Glades, but of course Dedu does not know that because they are not allowed to watch their opponent.
Yeah, finding an early dash is always a very strong advantage for very obvious reasons. That said, Dedu, just like he was making smart usages of safety saves before, also made good usage of saves for the purpose of save scumming. And so even though took the time to check some of those early Lost Grove pickups, was able to back up towards the grenade tree very quickly. This is going to be tree number 4 for Dedu. Jamal is going to be getting his 4th tree whenever he makes it over to double jump.
Okay, and here we go. This is going to be important because jmal on the right is doing checks that Dedu actually opted to skip. Dedu just went straight for the tree, but only an ability cell and a low amount of experience for jmal within that vault itself. And then jmal is going to come over and do one more check. It is just experience, so it's going to take the death. And very nice back warp there from jmal, taking the death, going back to the last place they saved, is going to allow them to backtrack a little bit quicker over to that double jump tree, as well as picking up double jump on their way over, I'm sure. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, well, I like what we're seeing from Dedu, heading left into Glades. That's a good sign. Just an ability cell up top. Another thing that I like to start looking at this point in the seed is the other resources that we have, keystones, health and energy and whatnot. We're certainly going to need a little bit more health unless we find clean water to make it through the final escape at the end. Keystones are looking reasonable. I don't think either runner would complain about finding some more.
Yeah, indeed. And so another thing is that's interesting is no blue breakage yet as Dedu finds his dash pickup. This is absolutely massive for the state of the race for him, right? That really mitigates sort of the advantage that jmal got from finding that early. And so no doubt here that Dedu is definitely in a slight lead, just only being behind by Charge Flame Tree. But with the ability cells they have, they're either going to be at Charge Dash or very close to it. So it'll be interesting to see what Dedu does from here. It looks like they are going to head over into Death Gauntlet, followed by making their way over to Stomp Tree for their next skill location. And meanwhile, on the right, jmal is going to be hitting that double jump tree, and then we will see where they go from there.
Well, this is pretty powerful as well. Dedu intentionally didn't open that door at the top of the Spirit Cavern, so Dedu is just going to have 4 additional keystones going forward. That may matter, it may not. Often when you get these seeds that are relatively fast, which happens frequently with the wall-starved flag especially, keystones can end up being your bottleneck.
Yeah, indeed. And it's really funny, Crib, because the main reason why is there's no real good location for us to do a glitch that we know in the community known as a key duplication glitch. And every single tree on the right side, except for Dash and Light Grenade, requires an amount of keystones in order to be able to get to, right? So if they're locked out of being able to get to a late game area, as Dedu is having blue breakage now with that Charge Dash pickup, then they can be in a lot of trouble from those keystone situations. And so heads up play from Dedu not to necessarily spend that resource, especially because they knew that they would have Charge Dash, right? And they have Charge Jump. So they still have an easy way to get to Spider Sack area through the Charge Flame Tree area.
Yeah, a lot of options are on the table right now. And I have a question for you, which I think I know the answer to. Well, my question was, are we, or more specifically Dedu, but really both of them, are we in go mode in terms of skills?
Yeah, Dedu is definitely skill go mode here. Knowing the type of player he is, and because in particular I've been watching a lot of his content, he definitely is going to want to take this. What he's going to do right now is definitely think about resources, right? He still has a way to go for Ultra Defense. He found Forlorn Teleporter as well, which is one of the most important things for him to find, right? The last sort of big thing to sort of close that distance is if jmal finds Forlorn Teleporter and Water Veins and Forlorn, right? But now with that and Valley Teleporter, Dedu is going to have easy left side access. The only real thing that could cause him problems is getting through Sorrow Pass. And knowing the caliber of runner Dedew is, I'm sure that won't be too much of a problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. At this point, I think Feather or Bash obviously would both be very, very powerful skills. Interested to see what options we have available. Dedew, as expected, made use of Charge Dash to break open the blue barricade, which blocks one of the potential access points into the Charge Flame tree. That puts Dedew currently one tree ahead of Jamal, since Dedew has the Stomp tree and Jamal does not. At this point, Dedew has a lot of options, especially having the Valley Teleporter already.
Yeah, indeed. And I love this decision from Dedew. He just got that clue on tree 6 that Water Vein was in swamp. So instead of beelining for that left side, he is going to continue to do some checks. And a bit of a death there for Dedew. He's going to have to come all the way back into Death Gauntlet and then places that save down. Nice rocket jump with the fast movement. And jmal also just doing an excellent job in their execution to get through these areas and check these pickups in very high frequency. But this is exactly Dedew's game plan, right? He gets a tree advantage early by really pushing for those trees aggressively. And then once he knows more information, or he is able to sort of compile information about where things
I'm sorry, check this out.
Yeah, on the left.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that's just so cool. Please continue. That was very cool.
Yeah, very nice from Dedew to be able to break that floor using a save anywhere in the middle of a stomp animation in order to be able to drop and utilize charge dash and or stomp while they land on that floor in the poison water. But just finishing up the thought, right? This is the advantage that Dedew wanted in game number 1. And now that he has this tree advantage, he can just continue to backtrack and go through areas to track down the important things and then potentially find some sort of further skill go mode above what they have.
Yeah, and if Dedew stumbles upon the water vein here in the outer swamp loop, which is reasonably likely statistically, Dedew will be able to turn around and not only go to the Ginza tree in terms of having the skills to traverse it, but will be able to get very, very fast access to the door. So this is very smart routing on Dedew's part. For example, Dedew could have chosen to go further into swamp or even do some sort of like save drop into the water or something.
Yeah, so question for you, Grim. Are there any sort of hard-locked skills that could cause our runners potential problems for the seed?
Everyone's favorite skill, grenade. It is possible that the water vein is grenade locked. That's I think the biggest consideration.
Yeah, that could be brutal. The good news is that Dedew does have Forlorn Teleporter, and at the end of Forlorn Escape is a clue as to where, where Grenade is on the map. And that being said, Dedew is now out of pickups that are easy to check in the swamp area. He's either going to have to shore up enough health or to stumble across clean water in order to do the swamp swim, or there are those 2 grenade block pickups in swamp. So this is a 20-minute left side for Dedew, but this could turn into a 20 to 30-minute slugfest to try and track down Grenade.
Yeah, that's right. Dedew, by the way, had a very quick, well-executed and successful Kuro kill plane skip. The idea is that you overlay the cutscenes and allow yourself to survive with some side effects. There's a swamp teleporter. That's pretty funny. With this, Dedew is looks like going to drop down to the bottom of Valley. Some of these pickups are very fast before presumably rocket jumping back up. Well, attempting to rocket jump. Sometimes the Frankies kind of get in your way and mess things up a little bit. Dedew's objective here is to go up and break the rocks above Kuro, get the feather, which we need before we can finish the seed, at which point Dedew can also restore his ability to save, which is something that the Kuro kill plane skip temporarily takes away from you.
Yeah, nicely done from Dedew. A little bit of a scariness with those frogs there, but is going to be able to take that trick down. He's probably going to quit to menu to be able to restore the normal state of Ori so he can drop those spear links wherever he pleases. But jmal on the right has been doing an excellent job of working through Upper Swamp Loop, and now is going to know that there is potentially a non-nice location for that water vein itself. And
wow,
look at that, Grim!
Wow!
Over on the left, it's going to be Glide, and with that wind restored from Upper Swamp Loop, Dedew is going to have an easy time getting over to that late game skill tree location, which is going to be that charge jump tree in Sorrow Pass. That is a massive find, and that could have not been in a better place for Dedew.
That's a massive find for a number of reasons. The obvious one is what you just discussed. It makes getting into Sorrow Pass an absolute breeze. It also opens up...
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Dedew forgot to quit to menu, so he can't save the game.
Yeah, this is what we were discussing. You can't play Soul Links following the Kuro kill plane skip until you save and reload. Anyway, so Feather gets us into Sorrow. Feather gets us the Forlorn Escape, which we may need for the Grenade Clue. It also just opens up Sorrow, as I said, not just for the tree, but it's a pretty dense area for pickups. Which means that if the dude decided to blind search like before going to Forlorn, Sorrow's a pretty reasonable place to do it.
Yeah, there's a number of things that can happen as well to put like Sorrow Teleporter. Like if Sorrow Teleporter was somewhere on the right side of the map and Climb was as well, right? Bash could just be over here as well. We have no idea where Bash is and no sort of indication of where it could and could not be. And nicely done from Dedew using a strat that is from a speedrun category known as Signless, Bashless, Stompless. Getting that first try that quickly is really just to show that Dedew has put in his work like practicing it. But also on the right, I mean, Grim, this is exactly what we were talking about in the pre-show, right?
Yep.
jmal is really not that far behind, right? He is now in his valley, and he's going to be rocket jumping off of this frog. And if he gets his first try, all that's between him and his opponent is going through Sorrow Pass. And unfortunately, doesn't quite get enough height off of that first rocket jump. But with 5 energy to spare, jmal is just going to be able to wind up and continue to do this a few times if he needs to, and gets it second try, and he is going to get his glide tree, which, as we know, is actually Feather itself. So that is a really, really excellent play for jmal. But here we go. It's going to be interesting to see where Dedew goes next. Yeah, he's going to opt to go for Misty Woods first, and we'll see how many pickups Dedew opts to take. I don't know how much. Yeah, he's checking to see exactly how far away he is from Ultra Defense. So he is 8 ability cells away with 4 in the bank. So he is halfway to Ultra Defense, Grim.
Yeah, at this point, I would imagine that Dedew primarily cares about Ultra Defense, not just because it's a nice thing to have, especially for a potentially bashless escape, but because if Dedew doesn't find clean water, there's a decent likelihood statistically at this point that the water vein ends up being underwater. Yeah. So that may be very important. That said, Dedew has many, many pickups to check, and ability cells are relatively common, on top of which Dedew might find just high experience pickups, which naturally get you ability points. I don't think Dedew's going to have any trouble getting to Ultra Defense relatively quickly.
Yeah, and the really nice thing, too, about Misty as a late game area, right, Grim, is that the EXP values are really high, right? So every single time we level up, it not only fully refills our health and energy, but it also gives us another ability cell, right? So Dedew now is at 5 of the 8 that they need to be able to close out that Ultra Defense. So they are well on their way. But also, on the right, jmal doing a great job working through Misty, but is currently only on 2 health, but is opting to skip pickups. Maybe they think they might be a little bit behind their opponent, which would be the correct assumption. But like at the same time, this is just so scary, Grim. Like everything is pretty much a one-hit kill on jmal, but nicely done using Stomp not only to be able to break that energy crystal, but also to break the enemy projectile shots, to be able to just sustain their life force while getting through this area to get a save down in order to heal a little bit.
Yeah, Stomp is especially useful in Misty because the slimes don't just shoot spikes, they actually shoot little projectiles that stick to the ground. Anyway, while jmal has been moving through Misty, Dedew has been moving through very cleanly as well. Some of the movement here can be awkward with charge dash because you tend to charge dash onto enemies you might not want to. Dedew made it through successfully. This is going to be tree number, what is that, 9? Looking at that tracker, we only have one tree remaining, which of course is the one in Ginso. As expected, Dedew is going to back out. Going to Misty Woods makes sense in this scenario. It also makes sense for jmal because you have to do it anyway. Might as well get it out of the way while you're in the neighborhood.
Yeah, you know, we could find that like obtuse grenade pickup just in Misty on the way to the tree. So Dedew, for his merit, like checking additional pickups is very beneficial, right? They get the EXP amounts for an additional level up or maybe 2 level ups. As we saw, it was mostly resources actually in Misty, and a really clutch play from jmal actually was he got a keystone and is going to be keeping that, right? Having 5 of the 8 keystones that they need to be able to finish out the seed is a very heads-up resource management play from jmal. Now all they are going to have to do is keydupe once in Sorrow Pass, and they will have all of the keystones that they could potentially need for the rest of the seed. Very nicely done from jmal.
Yeah, well, as we discussed earlier, jmal has been making not identical decisions to Dedew, but very, very similar. Like, most notable to me so far is that jmal decided to go to Misty before going up into Sorrow, even though now we're seeing jmal turn around and go up into Sorrow. But Dedew, as expected, has that execution advantage, but it's going to come down to, at this point, where is the water vein, and most notably, if it's grenade locked, who's going to find grenade first?
Yeah, for sure, Grim. And this is actually kind of brilliant from Didu. I really want to draw attention to this to the left. He doesn't have Ultra Defense yet, so he does not necessarily want to push in for that. That swamp swim that could be potentially lethal if he doesn't have Ultra Defense. But there, finding Spirit Light efficiency is going to double all the EXP values for not only the enemies that are going to be taken down, but also pickup. So if he comes into Horu now, this is like a pretty late game area in terms of logic. If he just finds like a 200 EXP pickup, that's going to double to 400 experience, which is absolutely insane. So one more level up, one more ability cell for Didu, and he is going to have Ultra Defense and be able to push over for his end game checks to find the water vein. And there it is, Grim. There is the ability cell. Didu is now fully potentially in go mode as long as it is not grenade locked, and he is going to be making his way for Swamp Swim.
Yeah, very, very, very smart. Routing also gives him the Horde Teleporter. Jamal, while we were talking, was also able to pull off that SBS, or Signless, Bashless, Stompless version of the ceiling break using the frog. It took Jamal more tries than one, which it took to do, but Jamal was able to get it. That's what's important. Jamal is also going to be a little more thorough in Sorrow. I don't think we saw those two right pickups checked by Dedu. Nice save scum. Interestingly, Jamal is going to go back over to the right and get these things again. Or maybe not. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, these little checks are just so nominative of sort of how jmal approaches the randomizer, right? Coming through, doing a few additional runs, right? This pickup right above the key door. Most people skip that. It's charge flame.
I'm sorry, I want to interrupt you. Dedu wants to do a save drop down into the water, which prevents a large amount of time spent swimming. Dedu doesn't have any remaining ability points.
Oh no. All right. So now Didu coming out of the water. This pickup here is actually the closest one to the surface of the water, fun fact. The other one takes one additional damage boost. So Didu is now going to be going back for that one that takes the additional damage boost. But having Ultra Defense here, right? Instead of taking a full health of damage each one of these, it actually cuts the damage in half, right? And Ultra Defense does not cut every damage source in half, but because the water is only going to be dealing one full tick of health each one, that one is halved. So that just like doubling the damage potential that you can soak while going through the area is just such a massive advantage for Dedu.
Yeah, Dedu also got a very convenient level up. Dedu could have taken intentional deaths and made several additional soul links to restore health, while leveling up is way, way faster. This is the... Well, there's this underwater pickup. It is the water vein. The water vein is not grenade locked, which means Dedu is well on his way. At this point, it's just execution between Dedu and finishing the seed.
Yeah, and that's it. Not going to have an easy time either in the final escape, right? But Dedu accidentally teleporting to Swamp, even though they have Horu TP, it's really tough to keep track of that information, right? Going to Horu
we need
really...
we need to do Ginso.
Ginso. You're right.
No. I get it, because I think that's a rite of passage for every rando runner, is to search for the water vein, get really excited that you get it, and then go to try to finish the seed and you can't.
It's so true. It's so true. So we actually have a hard lock programmed into the randomizer itself to stop runners from being able to start the final escape until they activate all 10 skill locations. But on the left, jmal is going to be searching for that grenade. He is going to hope that he is not going to have to do the swim to be able to track down the water vein. And this also could be a bit of a power play, Grim, right? Because there's 2 grenade lock pickups. However, like that being said, if Dedu dug for Ultra Defense and it turned out to be that grenade block picked up, it was literally the last pickup in swim. So jmal does Forlorn Escape first, finds grenade before their opponent. They could actually pull back a lead and save that like 1 to 2 minutes it takes to do that swamp swim area. So like, this is actually kind of a brilliant strategy from jmal. Unfortunately, we do know that this is not going to pay off because the water vein was indeed in that swamp swim section.
Are you kidding me? Do you see that? Grenade was on the escape itself. This seed had vanilla. This seed had vanilla feather, and it had grenade on the thing you do to get the grenade clue. That is absolutely fantastic. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
That's absolutely amazing. What what a turn of events. So jmal having grenade is not going to have to finish Forlorn Escape to get that clue at the very end. He's not going to have to dig in some random biome to find grenade and then backtrack to swamp. He's just immediately going to get grenade and then move into swamp itself. And so, oh man, oh god, if it was grenade locked crib, this would have been such an insane race. But at the same time, I mean, for his merit, Dedew is just playing this so well. He's playing absolutely out of his mind, having a little bit of trouble with this one frame trick door warp, but gets through there and is now going to be moving into the final stretch that if Dedew is able to nail his execution here in the final escape, he will be going up game 1 in this best of 3 series versus his opponent.
Yeah, Dedew's been making very, very smart usages of charge dashes into stomp cancels, especially to conserve energy, and been doing them in some relatively risky spots. I even saw some very minor strats, like Dedew redirected a Ginto projectile and pushed the block. Anyway, that's in the past. Dedew doesn't have bash, which means that this final escape isn't trivial. I don't think it'll end up being a problem with ultra defense and all the other resources we have at our disposal, but it's not a completely trivial escape either. We'll see if Dedew gets through successfully.
Excellent job getting through that elemental room. That might have been the scariest section. And now with Feather, without clean water, but with ultra defense, he's going to get past Revenge of the Fish without taking too much damage. And now coming into this final room, Dedew hanging on the left to make sure he skips that crow cutscene and just barely massively skips that huge boulder. And there it is, Dedew. No soft walk, no death in the final escape, getting through their first try for that win in the first game of this best of 3 series that we are going to be showcasing off sequentially. So don't go anywhere, folks. As soon as jmal finishes, we'll take a short 10-minute break and then move immediately into game 2 of this best of 3 series.
All right, everyone take a deep breath. I know that was intense for probably the runners and for us.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
That was a very, very powerful seed. I'm sure Dedew will be happy, Dedew, if you watch us back, will be happy that he decided to play this aggressively, because as you discussed, this could very easily have gone the other way if the water vein had ended up being grenade locked. I mean, Dedew's next play following not finding the water vein underwater would have been to go to Forlorn anyway, but at that point it comes down to, the time difference in terms of execution.
Yeah, so
also,
really...
Sorry, just jmal's doing a save drop, the same one Dedew tried to do earlier but couldn't. Looks like maybe didn't quite do it right.
Yeah, so the left side, you can't actually save drop there, or even if you do, it's like really, really far on the wall, so you don't really like go anywhere. Yeah, I see that like little nook. So you can fall into that little nook. But on the right side, you have to, it's a very particular setup. You have to be just barely away from the wall. So you have to be really close, but then also you can't be touching the wall. And then you have to be heading downwards in the water. And oh no, the wall's up for jmal in that mortar worm section. But Dedew is going to be crossing the finish line with an official race time of 33:40. GG to them. They will be taking a win here in game 1, but this is a best of 3 series. And so we still have at least one more game to play in the series. But we will be definitely showcasing off 3 games, because if Dedew takes a win next round, both runners have had agreed ahead of time to actually play out the 3rd seed for fun if it comes to that. Or it could be a 1-1 scenario where our runners will be playing for that win in the tournament in that game 3. So either way that happens, we'll be showcasing off 3 games. But on the right, jmal is still digging for something, Grim. Maybe just looking for ultra defense or clean water, right? This is just such a brutal situation to try and go through and shore up enough resources to do that swim.
Well, the health cell helps, yeah, and thank you to Lion on the tracking side for helping confirm this for us. Jmal needs 3 additional ability points in order to have enough to get to ultra defense. Thankfully, Jmal is close to a natural level up, at which point he will just need 2 ability points, which will probably be pretty easy to get.
Nice, yeah. The good news is that the majority of pickups in the randomizer itself are experience pickups, and so being able to close out that level up, and yeah, nice find right there, finding that ability cell right there in that grotto area, right? It's kind of wild to me, especially in these seeds, Grim, where you have like a Blackroot Burrow start and you get Stomp, and you just skip the water vein pickup and Glide Vault, right? That's like just such an early game area that like you almost get in every single seed, but jmal just like scouting it right now. That could have been Bash, right? So like it's so wild in the state of this race in particular that everything just kind of lined up for Dedew to be able to take a really expedient trek to all the trees and then get to the left side before indeed confirming that they had to sort of dig for that ultra defense. And there it is. jmal gets his 6 ability cells that he needs to get triple jump followed by ultra defense, and is now going to be heading back to Thornfelt Swamp to track down their water vein.
Yeah, I don't recall exactly how many health cells Dedew had while doing this, but Jmal definitely has enough. And even if the swim to some of the initial pickups ends up being very costly in terms of health, Jmal always has the option to just make several saves in a row in order to get health back, assuming Jmal has the energy to do it. And with all these charge dashes, Jmal might end up being low, but there's also energy on the way. I'm sure Jmal knows what he's doing.
Yeah, for sure. And so now coming back over here, they are going to be heading back into the sort of upper swamp entry and taking a good bit of damage. That means they're going to have to do some safety heals. And I'm just very impressed by jmal. He has been tracking his resources so insanely well throughout this randomizer, right? Like, he knew that he couldn't go grotto TP and then go back to upper swamp loop because the door is closed to that mortar worm. So instead, just immediately without any hesitation goes for that swamp TP and goes up and over past the Ginso entrance in order to get access. A longer route that takes more time, but it was the best possible option for jmal. And so I'm just... jmal is one of the newer runners to the randomizer compared to the people left in the tournament, but he is just so nominative in his like knowledge and information based plays. It's very impressive for me to see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as we said, there's certainly an aspect to luck winning any randomizer race in any circumstance, really. But Jmal is very clearly demonstrating why he has been able to progress as far as he has. With some smart decision making and notably just improvement over time as well, making sure you don't stagnate in your knowledge and skills.
Yeah, for sure. And so now jmal, having checked the first 2 pickups, is going to be heading back down. And so we know that is going to be the furthest pickup on the right, which is going to be next gated behind the layers of crushers there, dropping down to save, healing back 2 HP. Nice stomp into the water to be able to get some extra distance in the water. And oh, this crusher cycle is a little spooky, but jmal is able to eke through no problem. Coming back out of this water, there's just going to be 2 slimes here that if he wants to save, he just has to take them out with a nicely timed stomp, saving one more time, and now is going to be getting their water vein in the final pickup that was gated here in Swamp for them.
Yep, nice job by Jmal. Took a little longer to get ultra defense as compared to Dedew, partially because Jmal went and got that grenade pickup. I still can't believe grenade was on the Forlorn Escape. That is a wonderful placement of that skill.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for sure. I cannot stress as much, right? Like, jmal does the play for Forlorn, right? To be able to do the entire escape, which takes minutes in order to get a clue as to where it is. And then there it is, right? Grenade's just like sitting there perfectly. They're like, well, we know you're looking for it. And I mean, Forlorn Escape is always a powerful play. So here you go. Here's your grenade. But yeah, no climbs, so no grenade jumps. But hey, that's okay. Hopefully we get a grenade jump seed coming up in one of these next 2 games.
We will see. At this point, Ginso Tree should be a breeze for Jmal. Charge Jump makes moving through these rooms much, much faster than even Wall Jump and Double Jump, which is what you have casually when you're here. Jmal should also be able to make very quick work of the mini-boss. As before, looking forward to the final escape. Jmal is likely going to have to use similar strats to Dedew, but it's something that I would imagine Jmal is comfortable with. Having Dash is ideal for the final escape, but everything that we have here is really solid, too.
Yeah, interesting. So Jmal is trying to do a redirect here using Charge Dash, but doesn't quite have the full energy. Yeah, and so there it is. He has energy regen as a bonus pickup. Nicely done. That's actually a really, really tight timing to be able to hit that Charge Dash in order to reflect the shot perfectly horizontally and then land into the crushers, having the shot warp forward just a little bit. Very, very nicely done. Very optimal play. So now jmal makes quick work of him. I thought there was a mini boss there, but maybe I'm wrong. I think maybe we patched that out and I just missed it or something.
There's no way of knowing.
No, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to speculate here on a tournament broadcast here on SpeedGaming. So there may or may not be a mini boss there where it's just unconfirmed still in the community.
No speculation here, only facts. Reason. There's treat 10 out of 10 for Jmal. Last objective, go to Mount Horu and save the world, or whatever it is you do in this game.
Indeed. Yeah, so as we're coming through, Grim and Jmal's heading to the final escape, I kind of want to like pick your brains about this seed, right? So for their merit, right, Jmal had some pretty big deaths in early game, and we saw how insanely close he was in that middle game to Dedew as he was working through the left side of the map. Is there some sort of like big adjustment you might consider making for Jmal as he's going into game number 2? Or would you play more or less the same and then hope that just the seed falls more in your direction for the next one?
Well, it's a good question. It's one of those, I think, traps of any randomizer, not just Ori, where
Right.
something happens in one seed and you might try to draw larger conclusions from it, when in
Yeah.
reality it was a statistical fluke. For example, you might say, I'm always,
Yeah.
from now on, going to go check the Grotto Vault because something was important. But in reality, it's like, well, there was this seed, there might not be next seed. So Jmal, for example, made the play to go find a grenade. Of course, he just found it, but he would have gotten the clue and then found it, even though he
Right.
didn't know for sure it was necessary. That is a gamble at that point
Right.
in the seed, and I think it's a smart one. So from my perspective, I would say no, just do it again. And Jmal has an execution advantage. There's no question about that. That's not something that you can change over the course of a 10-minute break, which means that
Yeah.
Jamal's options are just to sit down and try to do his best. At least that's how I would approach it. Jmal may feel differently.
Yeah, for sure. Those are all really good points, Grim. And so Jmal having a little bit of trouble with door warp instead is going to go for violence. So spawning the boss. Wow, look at this. Using those 2 mortar worms on the right to kill that mini boss like instantaneously. It's so crazy that those shots can actually deal damage to the mortar worm while it's still in the ground, that mini boss there. So very nicely done, very fast kill by Jmal, and we've definitely seen him bust that out in the tournament before, and so very impressive to see his consistency with pulling out that strat on the fly. So here we go. Jmal is going to be taking a loss here in game 1, but now to finish out the seed, all they have to do is be able to get through this final escape, Grim.
Yeah, that's right. One of the first things that you have to, I say have to, but pretty much with this skill set you have to do is use some of these friendly spikes. Maybe you don't have to. With climb, charge jump, you can get through this. I guess with triple jump, this is doable for Jmal. As I said, this is certainly a doable escape, as we saw, because Dedew did it with these skills. But it's not the most trivial thing. There are what we generally call friendly spikes in the community. You can jump here, you can land on these spikes, or you can jump right over them. Getting up into the air, you can do charge dashes to the right, but you have to be careful because that fire pillar will absolutely torch you. Just barely able to get on the wall. There we go.
Wow.
Those walls can be a little slippery sometimes.
Yeah, those walls in particular are really tricky, and nicely done busting out the double charge dash, but oh no, goes a little too far. So it's really wild. The damage plane for that area is actually like tilted at a steeper angle than the floor is. So you can like, if you're too far to the right, it actually makes it a lot more difficult to get out of there without taking a damage, right? If you take a damage in the middle of the charge jump, it actually cancels out the charge jump and you just fall back to the ground. So this can be a very, very tricky section, and Jmal nicely done in the perfect position to be able to get out of there and jump out before those iframes end up going away on that damage in the fire. And now coming through this section, gets 1 fish, gets 2 fish. There's no revenge of the fish here today for Jmal, and is now coming up to the final section.
Yep, able to do a charge jump to prevent the Kuro spawn. Even if Jmal had spawned Kuro, he could maybe still make it through. Of course, grenade jumping is not an option because we don't have climb. Nice job by Jmal using charge jump and triple jump to get up around, charge dashing into the escape. That will be GG for Jmal, where time comes up as long as he just holds right for a little bit.
Yeah, very, very impressive here from game 1, right? There is like a 12-minute differential here between our runners, but I honestly think that this race was a lot closer than that, right? Like being within a minute in like the mid-game sections, especially on the left side of the map, this totally did not tell the story of the seed. And there's so many things to just sort of like consider of what could have happened differently in the randomizer. But for both runners' merits, they stuck to their guns with sort of how they like to route the randomizer in a competitive setting. And here Dedew's and like work for his routing optimizations, as well as his general strategy with approaching a best of 3 series, just very, very much paid off. That early tree advantage, right? Finding those necessary skills on the way, digging in upper swamp loop to track down Wind Restored, and then finding glide in its vanilla location. Just every single little thing just kind of fell in perfectly for Dedew as they considered working through the seed. But that being said, Jmal on the right is now going to be walking for another 10 seconds, and then that's going to close out the seed for them.
GG on both sides. Very well played. I'll be excited to see the next one. Remember that this is a best of 3 series, so even though Jamal lost this race, he's not necessarily out of the tournament yet. That will depend on the remaining 2 matches. The next one is coming up on the same channel, SpeedGaming 2. We're going to get 2 lovely new commentators in the form of Turtle and Zemsys for the next match. So if you enjoyed this match, don't go anywhere. We're going to take about a 10-minute break before we come back. Thank you on this match, by the way, for Infinite and Lion on the tracking side.
Perfect. A major thanks to Grease as well for restreaming. Grim and me were the commentators today, but stay tuned for game number 2. See you in 10 minutes, folks.
Hello and welcome back to game 2 of this Ori Randomizer Tournament 2021 series between Dedew and Jamal. Dedew just taking the lead on that game 1. Already, sorry for that, I had some echo there. Now it's good to go. Dedew taking lead on game 1. With some very clean, very aggressive seed, went into full go mode as soon as he could and found everything required on the way. Very nice showing. I am Xemsis and I'm going to be joined by Turtle Guy here for our second match. Turtle, how are you doing?
Oh, I am doing great, Zem. Watching that first match was a treat, seeing the runners so close through so much of the game and just being determined by one pickup. We could see the same thing happen in this seed for either runner to pull out ahead, and this rando is just such a treat to watch, Zem.
Yes, indeed. The water rain location really was the most deciding factor there with Jamal. Taking a calculated risk to go for the grenade clue immediately, having a hunch on where the water rain is. It didn't pay off this time, but that's just how the randomizer works. If you go for a play like this, it can go in either way, but enough talking about that. It looks like our runners are already ready to go into round 2 here. This one not going to be wall stuffed, instead a more classic standard seat here, and off we go. Turtle, what kind of seat do you want to see after that extremely jet seat one?
Well, the two skills that we didn't get last seed were Bash and Climb. So that's what we're going to find here at the very start. Specifically, climb first, so runners have to do some very fun things in Blackroot, I think.
Alright, let's see how this is going to go. Only an ability cell here on the first pickup. Nice enough. Our runners will be able to skip Rhino EXP without any problem, saving about a second there. Those minor things can add up over the time, as they do so often, but nothing major yet. Jamal having a bit of early game spaghetti, so that you will be getting those early checks in a few seconds earlier than his opponent. And it isn't wall stuffed, so here we are. Wall jump is going to be our first skill.
This skill is very, very nice to have in the early game. It's just so comfortable. You can climb up walls without having to do any shenanigans like double jump wall interaction. You can get into most of glades with a little bit of blue breakage. You can do Blackroot pretty easily. And so our runners will have both of those options available with a couple keystone pickups. And it's just a pretty comfortable start. Maybe not the fastest, but it's definitely doable, and we'll see where our runners go from here. It looks like both are heading down into Blackroot. Without the two keystones to open the keystone door to the left, they're going to head down here first and just take a bet that those two pickups on the way won't be the keystones they need. Instead, they'll be finding them down here in Blackroot, behind this cutscene.
Yes, indeed. And the one big time loss factor in a lot of races is backtracking. And if you can avoid backtracking in the first two keystone pickups there in glades, then that is always a nice thing. Both of our runners making the same decision here, and this kind of wall jump only Blackroot is where the tiny 1 second time saves come in all the time. Maybe you get to skip a slime cycle or a platform cycle here or not. So far, both of our runners doing pretty standard movement with you having to wait on the platform, bobbing now up the right wall. Let's see if he gets a nice orb drop location, gets an instant orb drop, and Alt R back to spawn we go. Now it's time for a lot of auto scrollers until we're going to see our next checks. So let's maybe think, what do you think is the next thing our runners are going to find in here?
With this being a wall starved seed, I would have to guess blue breakage after a couple of keystones. That's how the vanilla game goes, and with that, it unlocks a lot of the right side of the map. That's a pretty typical start for wall starved seeds, and again, not fast, but decently comfortable. But without keystones now, it could be something really interesting, like perhaps dash and stomp to get the stomp peg to go into grotto, because we are starting to run out of pickups in logic as we are going further and further into Blackroot, grabbing an energy or experience right here on Dedew's side, and then there's only a little bit left before they have to go find some more keystones or something else. But climb will be a pickup in logic for them now, and they have both forms of wall interaction. Thank you, Wall Starved. for this blessing.
Well, that is indeed two different kinds of wall interaction. So obviously the next skill has to be double jump so we can fill the trinity of wall interaction soon. But for now, Climb is just gonna give them some comfort and some frames saved when climbing up those walls, since they already have wall jump and they can do most of the things they can do with Climb with wall jump too. Now, Climb obviously does get quite a bigger role if we should choose to find charge jump at some point during the seed. But for now, it is really just that comfort skill. We are down to 3 shacks for our runners, and so far we haven't seen any keystones here. So interested to see, are we gonna get a hint behind the crashers? 55 XP, nothing to say, doesn't say too much by itself, but it is a low numbers, and I'm sure our runners are gonna keep track of how those numbers are going to be. Now we're down to 2 shakes. Let's see if the Dew goes for the blind jump. Yeah, the platform cycles line up just perfectly, and we're getting 1 single keystone. So will the Dew go back into Blackroot and clear out Indiana Jones? No, we are going back to spawn, finally checking those first 2 pickups.
Yeah, keeping that keystone, well, that is normally a pickup that a lot of runners would save scum. This point, it's their only one. Our resources have just not been showing up this seed. So to do alt-Ring to keep that is really important. And we will see on the other side, Jmal looks like he's going to save scum it and go down now to grab the Blackroot teleporter down here. But on Dedew's side, he alt-R'd with that and did not find a second one over here. So this is just a really interesting, really starved start in terms of what resources our runners have.
Yeah, and did you taking that mega health to check the long flippers pick up, obviously out of logic on like 7 different levels here, but it is a good check to have. Will get him an energy cell and gets to use that mega as quickly as possible. We've seen the second keystone, it's all the way down here for Jamal, but remember, Jamal skipped the main room pickup, so if he is going to opt to Alt-R and not recollect it afterwards or find another keystone in here, he will kind of have the same backtracking time loss that the Dew had earlier. That will be figured out very soon here. It is Stomp here again! Alright! So the seed now kind of setting up for an early power skill, either dash or charge jump, both of which would unlock this area and allow quick access to Grotto through the area right here. But Jamal not opting to turn in the map stone or stomp the bank or stomp the border right now, instead wants to go back, and he will recollect that second keystone from the main room. So he doesn't know it yet, but very lucky that will be quite a time save for him.
Yeah. As you said, there is a pretty large likelihood that we get a power skill if we follow logic. And so that is, I believe, what Jmal is deciding to do here. Just making sure that he knows where the seed wants him to be so he can get the intended progression. Dedeww, on the other hand, we have seen play pretty aggressively in the past. So with that stump, he might choose to just go right into Grotto now. It'll be very interesting if he does, as it'll be a pretty big route divergence between our runners. He's going to put in the map stone first, and then we'll see if he goes for the peg or if he decides to come with Jmal into the wall jump tree area.
Yeah, I would be assuming, yeah, he will stomp the pack now, but it is also very likely that he will just now go back into Glades and just stomp this so he doesn't have to do the minor backtrack to the pack. Will get an extra keystone, so just in the case that the 4th health cell, the next pickup Jamal is going to reach, is another keystone, he will be able to open Spirit Caverns early with that extra keystone he got from the mapstone turn, and Jamal skipped in the Blackroot area. Now, it is just XP, so that won't actually come into play. And we could see, oh, there's another mega health here at the fake flippers pickup. Well, I guess we can keep one of that as a bit of a buffer when swimming out. That's 2 out of 3 mega healths already gone from the seed. Not sure if we're gonna see the third one anytime soon. But now both of our runners are in the glades area. Jamal a bit on the lead since he did not do the aggressive play of going out of Blackroot with just a single keystone. That has paid off for him now, so he has a few seconds advantage, but nothing major yet that would kind of bleed through the rest of the seed, I think.
Yeah, the runners are both at this point taking the same path. No sequence breaks into Grotto just yet, as this isn't a go mode skill set. No power skills, just some convenient things to have. And so we will see both our runners head into this wall jump loop, grab a couple more pickups, and then there does have to be some form of progression here. Possibly another keystone to let them into Spirit Caverns, or they might just find charge jump, dash, or any other power skill. There is another keystone, so that puts Spirit Caverns in logic now for our runners, and I would bet we'll see both of them go there next to keep pushing for whatever that next logical skill might be. Probably one that gets them access to Stomp as well.
I mean, did you really getting that baby as saving those frames and seconds all over now really has caught up quite a bit with Jamal here at the wall jump tree. We're seeing the cutscene at the same time on both sides of the screen. It is so far just another ability cell, but as you mentioned, our runners now have 3 keystones and can Alt R and walk back to Spirit Caverns right after picking up this pickup right here, the energy cell next to wall jump tree. More and more XP now. Funnily enough, Jamal is set up for a Frankie Walk, but only has 1 energy. Meanwhile, Dedew has 2 energy, but does not have the Frankie Walk set up, so we're not gonna see any of those right now. But Jamal and Dedew are now gonna head over to Spirit Caverns, where they will probably find some more keystones, but also maybe that extra skill they are looking for.
Yeah, this has been a pretty just slow, casual start so far, giving both of our runners just a lot of time to follow the logic through its winding turns, and leading both of them to the same place at about the same time. I wonder if we'll see another little bit of slow progression, like some blue breakage, or if we'll get one of those really fast skills that Dedew really likes with his execution advantage. But for now,
Yep.
it is just more keystones. A lot more keystones.
Yeah, the randomizer still has to place those keystones to open the upper door, and we are seeing all of them right now in its sequence here. So probably, I would be pretty surprised if we won't see the upper door right about now. Once our runners have ran out of checks, following logic will lead them to the charge flame tree area. They might opt to take a small dip into valley entry and check the single pickup they have thanks to their stomp. Yep, that you already going there. Jamal right on the set. Now the big question is, does any of them want to invest the time to get that pickup on the tree? Nope, skipping it for now. It's not in logic anyway, since Storm was behind those crushers in Blackroot. So instead, our runners are opting to. No, Jamal will actually not skip this cutscene while Dedew is. That will cost him quite a bit of time, as he kind of has to watch Sign tell him where the 3 dungeons are and the keys. But on the other hand, he will get the teleporter for later, while Dedew will have to walk here again.
Yeah, watching this cutscene or not is a choice that every owner has to make. Can be very strategic. But in the time that he's watching that, Dedew has pushed forward and he has found his double jump. I'm still not entirely sure what that puts into logic at this point. So maybe something else will be on the tree. But having double jump still is very, very comfortable for our runners to be able to get some error stall to get into higher up places.
There's the 3rd mega health. Alright, so our progression was wall interaction into wall interaction into wall interaction, while also giving us 3 mega healths. What an exciting start to the seed. Now, that double jump actually put 3 different pickups in logic. One of them, Dedew, is trying to get here with this precise double jump chain. Very nice. There's an easier but very, very much slower way to do this, which actually puts it in logic. That is 1 check out of the way, just the keystone. The second one will be right above the 4th health. Now, Jamal is actually not following this train and heading back towards the teleporter, probably teleporting towards Oh, teleporting towards Grove. Never mind then, remembering where things go. Meanwhile, Dedew did the double jump chain. It's just experience. All right, there's one more check left, and Dedew is continuing to the left. The Spirit Caverns ability cell, which can also be gotten with just wall jump and double jump. And Jamal is also heading to that one first, coming from the other side, coming from the teleporter. So he will actually be the first one to get this if he gets it first try. And there is Dash indeed. Our stomp is a logic. Let's go to the right side. We can go through Blackroot.
Oh man, that is a great pickup, and I think that's really interesting there that Jamal remembered that he had the teleporter, used it, and it did actually save him time. Despite losing a bunch to watching that cutscene, having that teleporter did prove to be invaluable within like 3 minutes after he had to watch the cutscene. But Dedew is still right on his heels. Both of them are coming in, and it looks like they're both going for a grenade tree right now, with Stomp to get through the floor and Dash to get through the lasers. There is quite a bit they can get down here, as well as a tree, of course, which are very, very important, and both of our runners will be heading slightly different ways, checking different pickups as they go through this lower area of Blackroot.
Yes, indeed. And very nice quick adaptation there from Jamal, realizing the laser cycle was off and not going for the aggressive instant jump that Dedew went for earlier at the first laser. Now, Dedew checking more of these right side pickups, which are actually logically accessible with Dash and Storm. Storm to get down here, Dash to pass the laser. But now will also be following on Jamal's heels here into the grenade tree area. Jamal now realizing he has spent his energy on safety saves, and this is a thing you really do not want to watch, as that you can probably tell every runner here. 70-second cutscene if you do not skip it, so Jamal will instead drop down, get the energy crystal, but that gives the due time to catch up after those extra checks in the lower area. Now both of our runners opening the save anywhere at the same time. Basically same choices here, same road so far. I'm loving it. We're gonna be heading to grenade tree with a time difference about 2 or 3 seconds.
These runners with a seed difference of 25 are well less than 25 seconds away from each other. This is just great play by both of them right now. Following logic, making sure they check trees as fast as they can, getting everything along the way that they feel like is necessary. And still, both of them have not found that much in terms of progression. Both now realizing that, yep, with Stomp and Dash in logic, they can, in fact, get down to the Stomp Peg and head into Grotto, one of the densest areas of the game, and very, very likely to have another pickup for them somewhere in this Gumo's hideout area.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite world would be where there's actually nothing in this entire area and the seed wants you to climb back out of it. But seeing how the randomizer has been behaving so far today, I do not think that is the most probable of things. Now that you getting his charge dash, we have already seen storm cancels in the last seed and we are going to see them again. Can use that charge dash both to break open plans as well as to just move faster through the air. Opts to skip Grotto Vault. We're not gonna see a rock slide or safe drop right now from the Dew. Maybe from Jamal, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is also just checking those 2 extra pickups here. Remember that Jamal is still on 1 energy because the Dew did that extremely long mega health, long flippers check early. And in a seed like this, which actually gives you charge dash, that can really be a bunch of a difference in speed.
Yeah, only having 1 energy, and even to do with only 2, that's not really something you want for charge dash. He does find another one very nicely, which will let him charge dash 3 times, but unless he's finding a lot of energy or just not placing safety saves at all, he won't be able to use very many charge dashes at all. But meanwhile, we do see Jmal is going for a rock slide, gets it, and will get access to these 2 pickups. What could they be? A Keystone and 5 experience. Not the greatest thing in the world behind this really difficult trick, but Jamal was able to pull it off. Very, very swag, and will have the knowledge advantage of those 2 pickups now as he heads back out.
Yeah, sadly it didn't pay off this time, but it can't pay off every time. Still very nice showing being able to bust this out here on stage, and if we ever get that Water Rain Grotto Clue, he will, not Water Rain, the Sunstone Grotto Clue later, if it should be here, at least Jamal knows he won't need to spend a bunch of time pushing rocks around later in the seed. Now, the Dew has checked the mini-boss again during this seed, and this time it has been a whole bunch of 35 XP, so nothing he is going to keep either. Jamal now getting his energy and is backtracking for extra plant checks. Remember, the Dew had more energy. He doesn't need to take those backtracks after getting energy crystals, so he's actually on 4 energy now, getting at the double jump tree, which will give him really, really fast right side access as soon as he wants it, which is just about now, while Jamal is still checking around and will only be on 3 energy, so having to energy glitch and take 2 tracks to the door after he finishes Grotto.
Yeah, notably that 4 energy is out of logic from the one that Dedu got from Long Flippers way long ago. So, I mean, if we're following the precise logic of the seed, there was nothing down here. Exactly as you said earlier, the intended logic seems to be to take the rockfall cutscene and get up out of Grotto through that.
Ah, I'm loving it. But hey, they did get another map stone, so maybe that will come into play. Meanwhile, another mega pickup for the Dew, this time in energy, and now Dev gliding over the brambles, did manage to get an extra check behind the underwater for energy door, and it was 272 XP, so either that 4th energy cell is just missing, or what's way more likely, clean water is not something we're gonna see anytime soon here. But for now, Jamal just reaching the double jump tree now on 3 energy will start energy glitching out the door as the Dew is heading over into the grotto area, now heading over to Swamp, and is ready to clean out these areas on the search for the next bit of progression.
Yeah, this seed is just so tumultuously slow right now. Having our runners just search every nook and cranny, and it is not giving them anything. Seagen is feeling very, very mean today, but our runners are both pushing on through their own ways, making different checks and just trying to find where Seagen might have hidden the next pickup. It looks like Dedu will be going for a cutscene skip or a cutscene glitch, so we can walk around during the cutscene here. As we say hi to our big bird friend. Meanwhile, Jamal is actually looking to go back towards Valley Entry. Finds a mapstone there, interestingly, and we'll get this plant, a health cell, very nice, but still no progression on either side.
Yeah, I actually really like this play from Jamar because he was, we know that the water rain is somewhere in Valley, right? And it could have been totally the case that water rain was there, but no, this wasn't the play that paid off. Did you finding charge jump in Grove Main? Now that's a power skill. 2 of the big power skills, 2 out of 3 in power skills, 2 out of 3 in grenade jumps. We would really like to see either of those at this point, I think. But we're basically having a very similar skill set to last seed now, and let's see how the Dew is gonna push that through to the next race.
Yeah. I gotta wonder as well if Dedu would consider this as a go mode. He has verticality, he has air stall, he has a way to break floors, and he has dash to let him go fast. That's a lot of what you need to go fast and to beat the final escape. So we'll see if he continues to check pickups, searching for any extra skills or maybe just resources. And it looks like for now he is, possibly needing keystones, health, energy, or maybe just really hoping to find something like the Sunstone pretty early on.
Yeah, we already saw that Yuzmo's kinda moving towards that health amount. He really does need either Ultra Defense or a bunch more health to take all the necessary damage boosts to finish out the seed and maybe even do some Sorrow Zombing. We also still don't know where the Sunstone is, and hey, we have talked a lot about grenade lock progression in the last seed, and I kinda wanna talk about just that again. Now that you doing this before remembering, yes, he does in fact have charge jump, and oh look, it's another Valley teleporter. Is this even a different seed than the last one? But now that is some easy left side access to most parts of Valley. Oh hey, Ventress Taught and Swamp, hi, I've seen this before. And can now push over, will go to the Storm Tree and probably head over to left side afterwards to get some more clues and some more of those trees out of the way.
Yeah, I bet both of our runners right now, Dedu especially, are just having a massive sense of deja vu. Very, very nice if you're playing multiple seeds in a row, because you don't really have to remember what you had last seed, what you have this seed, because it's the same stuff. And Dedew also will find the Sunstone with his charge jump, and that is one less thing that he has to get. We already know where the water vein is thanks to the clue, so that's really, really great news for Dedew. He just now has to hunt for trees and hunt for that water vein, as well as maybe some more health to get through the final escape.
Yes, indeed. I mean, Jamal sadly has been very thorough, and at this point you need to, right? You need to get those dense areas out because you need more skills to finish the seed no matter what. Sadly, has not been digging in the correct places, which, well, we know where they are, but Jamal sure doesn't since he is not allowed to watch the Deuce stream, so hasn't found his charge jump yet. Maybe soon since he's going into a general area, but there's also always the potential that he goes into Swamp Loop first instead. Meanwhile, on the left, the Deuce skipping the kill plane as we've seen before, can now head down into valley, into lower valley here. Will definitely be checking the pickups off in the off chance that water rain is hiding right here. So far, it's just been a bunch of regeneration and the single keystone. But hey, there's always the chance, so you cannot skip these. Now rocket jumping up, almost misses the height necessary to reach the bird. One of the birds intercepting his stomp, has to stomp a second time. But there we go, Kuro flying against the rock, and another tree for the count of the two.
Man, birds are jerks. Getting in the way of our stomps, wasting a bunch of time with cutscenes, as we see on Jamal's side. Man, birds are just the worst. But they do give us feathers, which, I mean, if this is the same seed as last time, we will see something like Glide here on Dedew's side. No, the seed is slightly different. It's just some EXP. So Glide will stay hidden for now, possibly making a difficult sorrow for our runners. But on the other side, Jamal is now right next to Charge Jump and will grab it for himself, bringing him a little bit closer to that skill parity that we see from Dedew.
Yeah, and Dedew now heading back down here, this time remembering he needs to reload, so he gets access to his save spec, having a bit of a problem with lining up the frogs in the correct spacing here. Will probably want to check Kuru Perch. I'm not sure if he's checking that as a valley check or if he just wants to go up. Instead wants to take the right side valley from the other side. That means he will need to watch this cutscene, but it is sure a lot more comfortable without Bash to go from the upper side than to go from the lower side to check all these valley pickups here on the search for that water vein we know is somewhere in valley. Now, some checks here will be able to check both the Stompless AC, which is right above him, as well as the Birdstorm Cell on the right. Since he has region, he can take this damage boost now on 0 point something HP. Just needs a bit more careful with the bird here, because that would kill him on contact. Instead, using Stomp to clear that out safely from the distance. Now has to line up. Waiting for region here to will wait for that charge dash that will carry his charge jump over. Hey, you have climbed. You can just go on the wall. But you know that's just another thing. So he might be just luring this bird up to stomp on his head instead, getting that pickup. While Jamal can use that to catch a bit up, since remembering you have pickups sure is impossible.
And we are seeing Dedew come to the end of this little portion of Valley Loop. Takes a quick death, but he will be down back there once more for a quick poison water, or maybe he'll leave that for later considering his health. But with that, and only a couple pickups on the way to Forlorn, as well as Bird Cell and Valley Long Swim, we still haven't seen. Water Vein has to be one of those, and both of our runners have to be wondering where that might be. That is very, very important, as we saw in the last race. Being able to find that water vein can mean the difference between winning or losing. And so Dedew and Jamal both are going to need to search for it. Dedew doing it right now. Jamal will probably do it pretty quickly after he gets the feather, the glide tree himself.
Yes, indeed. He will have to still do the entire kill plane skipping as well as glide tree stomping before he can go on a search. And the deal now actually checking the underwater pickup, but remember that bird stomp cell is orphaned. If that is the water vein, and Jamal finds that first, that might just spell disaster for the Dew here, because remembering you did not check that, and then going back there instead of waiting until you check all the grenade lock pickup and maybe even getting the grenade in, that sure is a thing that you can very, very easily forget, especially in a high stakes race situation such as this one is. But now, for now, the Dew still has a few other checks he can make. Skipping facts, because that would also require that climb charge jump that he forgot about, the climb not being in his memory right now. Or maybe going back for it? Is he going back for it? Yes, alright, he is going up to the facts area. Remembers he has climbed, and there's a bunch of XP for his troubles, but at least we know he will be able to remember to get Bird Stomped later into the seat if he has to. So far, another ability cell. There are 3 more not grenade lock pickups at the bottom of the Fallen approach that you can check. Then the Birdlooms there, and otherwise, we're gonna need to go grenade hunting.
Oh my goodness. Once again, Water Vein in an area with 2 grenade lock pickups, and it's coming down to the wire. Dedew has 3 quick checks that he can make here. There's 1, it's an energy cell, not the Water Vein. There's 2 underwater. Oh, and that is the Water Vein. Again, underwater. And Dedew will find that. That is really great for him, as he no longer needs to search, and will now be able to just focus on getting trees and health for the final escape. Meanwhile, Jamal is making his way through Valley as well. Might be a while before he gets all the way down to Forlorn to check that underwater pickup, which we know to be the Water Vein, the most important thing in last race and perhaps in this race as well.
Yeah. So having some minor troubles with the Bird Stomp here, now going for another strat instead, rocket jumping up, can now just use his climb charge jump to get this. Alright, won't spend a bunch of time on this, but still, that water vein is about the farthest away place from the teleporter that it could possibly be. So it might take quite a while until he reaches that. Has the advantage of not needing to check the valley entry area, since he has done that earlier in the seed, but still it doesn't really make the track any smaller. But eyes on the left, the Dew now, this time without glide in the glide tutorial area, but can really use those air dashes as well as charge dashes and triple jump to get all the air retention he needs, and he is skipping pickups in here. So I think that Dew is comfortable with the amount of resources he has now, will just be pushing out towards those last trees he needs.
Yep. And speaking of pushing towards things, as Jamal is pushing towards this boulder up here, he also pushes up his green tree, getting all the way up to Ultra Defense pretty early on. So he won't need as much health. Dedew can also potentially get there himself for a much easier final escape, because having that Ultra Defense is almost necessary with this health, considering that they don't have Bash and will need to take quite a few damage boosts. So we'll see if Dedew decides to go for that, and how many energy or ability cells he can get to help him on that way.
Yeah, and the Dew hovering his keystones only has 6 of them, will need 8 to finish out the seed. 4 in Sorrow as well as 4 in Lower Ginso. Opting to do Ginso first. The pickup checks in Ginso are very, very close to the main path, so he might just choose to get some extra resources from those 6 checks on the way to the tree, or even opt to say, hey, I can key dupe in Lower Sorrow, that is pretty fast, so I might as well check nothing again. So one of the two is probably going to happen. Let's see which one it is. Meanwhile, Jamal on the right, now heading down towards the Fallen approach area, will probably clear all of this out, but this is the last check before the 3 bottom pickups, and now he knows, alright, Water Rain is either down there or we're gonna have a grenade search. We already know it's there, so he's gonna get that in about a minute or half a minute or so. Now on the left, the Dew getting the charge dash redirect, very nice. Oh no, jumps into the projectile, alright. Just a minor 1 cycle loss, but the second redirect is just barely too high. This is the kind of mistake that might allow Jamal to catch up a little here with the Dew. Now through this, will need to refill energy since he used a few extra to delete this mini boss. Oh, never mind, there is no mini boss, there's just a bit of XP and a door opening animation. 4 checks left and a door on the way to Bash Tree.
Jamal, on the other hand, does get his water vein and is now down the climb tree in Misty, as well as the progress that Dedu has already made in Ginso, as he's already at his tree. But Jamal will be following right up Ginso, and then he will be able to do the remainder of his left side checks and follow through, as both runners are progressing pretty quickly towards the end game at this point, having a bunch of skills, having nearly ultra defense in Dedu's case, and actually having it in Jamal's, as well as the teleporters and skills needed to get all the trees. So this race is going to come down pretty quickly from here, I think.
Indeed, and let us see how the Dew opts to tackle this sorrow. There are quite a few different strats you can use to both enter it and then traverse the Dorito Caves, the Spike Cavern area later. So far, let's see. No, he will opt to take Wilhelm for a bit of a throw as well as taking a safety save here. Does have his ultra defense as well as 3 ability sets for potential zombies later. Does get hit by a bird once. Does probably not want to keep that damage indeed, because he will need to damage boost twice in the Spike Caverns here. This time manages to not aggro a bird, so 1 damage boost here, needs to wait out the knockback, do not get Coyote framed. Very nice through the first kinda difficult part, but the real challenge is on top. Gets a nice convenient energy refill on the way, so now he can utilize that climb, C jump, triple jump, as well as a rocket jump to slowly climb up this main shaft. Will get the key dupe out of the way on the way here. I found 1 extra keystone on the way, but sadly he needs 4 for the door and not 3. Luckily there is this very easily accessible keystone door right off the main path, and with this he does have the necessary keystones to finish out the seed. We'll just need to break it up this floor here and then go into the Dorito Caverns.
That is some great knowledge by Dedu, remembering that he doesn't have enough keystones, and remembering that while the top key dupe is doable, it's not. You kind of need glide to get through here without zombieing. And so, with those keystones now in his pocket, Dedu will be heading through here. Oh, finds clean water above the spikes, and will be now making his way through this. Does he make it through without even needing to zombie? Oh, he does. Well done, Dedu. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that was just beautifully done. Of course, he opened up that save anywhere for safety, but he doesn't even need it. It wasn't way too much damage. Instead, he gets through without a problem. 10 trees for the Dew. Can now back to the spawn, teleport back to the swamp teleporter, and all that's standing between him and advancement in the lower brackets is that final escape. And honestly, with clean water being this conveniently placed and the poison swim no longer being a problem, I think he's just gonna nail that one.
Yeah, no kidding. Dedu has just been playing brilliantly, and the seed, after being so mean for so much of the early game, does give him a little bit of help with that clean water. Makes his final escape a lot easier. He will still have to damage boost in the elemental room in particular, because he does not have bash, but I mean, we saw him go through without bash last seed. We know that Dedu can do it, and he will be doing it in just a moment. As Jamal is making his way on the other side through Misty, is now down 2 trees. He still needs to get his climb tree down here, as well as that difficult charge jump tree without glide up in Sorrow. Jamal can definitely do it, but at this point, he's down in a couple of seconds, maybe a bit more than a couple. And this is Dedu's race and Dedu's series to lose.
Indeed, and let's see how the door warp is going. Having a bit of trouble on the door warp here. But Jamal, his extra throughness gives him the Sorrow teleporter, so his charge jump tree is just going to be extremely fast, but not going to give him that clean water. Alright, with this, you do need an actual good execution in the final escape here. It is still your race, of course, but let us see how it goes. That you now getting through the warp into the final escape. warmth being restored, birds swooping down, and let's see what Kuro's gift is for us this seed. It is going to be 46 XP. Well, better than nothing, I guess, or maybe exactly as good as nothing. But off we go into the final escape. Did you opting to take the lower route here? Can either use right wall or use the triple jump, charge jump on the left side. Opts to do the latter, is through now into the elemental room. Takes the damage boost, 1 damage boost in hours, very nice. As long as he does not get hit by the fire, everything should be fine indeed. And now there are some angry fish, but he dodges both of them without any hitch. Just has to take care not to spawn Kuro. And indeed, this final wall is basically just a thing you have to do without problems. Out he is. GG and congratulations on your win of the series here today.
Dedew just showing off today some impeccable play in both races, being able to push trees aggressively while still making sure to check for resources and skills, and that will give him a 2-0 win. Just phenomenal play, as we've seen. And jmal, not far behind, he got his 10th tree, still without clean water, but with his health and ultra defense, I still think Jamal can definitely get through, as he is also thinking that, making his way to the final escape right now, not too far behind Dedew in this great race today.
Yes, honestly, that Sorrow TP was in such an amazing location for Jamal. Really just has his final escape is quite a bit harder. He really needs to nail that elemental room if he wants to survive the poison swim later, but I'm pretty sure he will be able to do just that, as he has proven and proven again during this tournament. Let us see how it is going to look, as the Dew is just needing to hold right and do his narrow movement for the finish. Alright, let's see. Did you finishing with a time of 39 and 40.69. A nice time here for the finish, as Jamal is just entering Haru, and Jamal probably going to see about the finish just about now. Do you think we're gonna see more violence, or is it going to be a door walk?
Oh, with nerves this tense in a second race, it might be pretty hard to get door warp. And violence can be very easy, especially with something like charge jump. So Jamal is going to be doing door warp a couple times. And yeah, he can't get it. Nerves are strong, and that trick is really weird. But with those helpful mortars on the wall, Jamal is able to easily take out this mini-boss. Good violence, Jamal. I approve.
Doesn't quite get the 1 cycle this time, but still, wants to validate the series. Very nice fucking on validation XP, Jamal. Are you kidding me? Let's rename Jamal Hyde Badge to Jamal Hyde Grenade. Getting grenade from random spots in both series now has access to grenade jumps in the final escape. And let's see how that is going to go.
Oh my god, I don't know if there could be a better validation check than grenade. G-jumps are so fast, they skip a full 40-ish seconds of that ending cutscene. Jamal's immediately going to use them. They're a little bit tricky to pull off, but like, oh my goodness, what a spectacular find. I gotta wonder what Jamal is thinking right now, like, I'm so glad I checked that.
Let's chalk that first G-jump attempt up to the same problem we are having, where we're just laughing too much about that placement. That's great. Alright, Jamal now showing off some strats we haven't seen. For example, this fire up here, that is totally optional and just a visual thing. If you grenade jump up there, well, have fun standing up there. And now does another grenade jump, doesn't go for the one in the answer room, but is now in the water. And hey, we have 7 HP and ultra defense. He could go give the fishes like 3 total hugs without any problems and still come out. But now he really wants to show off those grenade jumps right into a rock. Sigma, please stop aiming so well. We need Jamal to finish out the seed here, but he still has enough HP to survive another collision if he needed to. He doesn't. Grenade jumps out. GG, Jamal. That race really was closer than a lot of it looked.
Yeah, the times were definitely closer than last race too, but I think the runners were just absolutely neck and neck through so much of this race. It really could have come down to just about anything in this seed. They both had trouble finding water vein, they both had a slow start, They both had some difficulties with the later game as well, not having stuff like Bash, and both still made it through. Really, really excellently done. And that grenade pickup at the end is just the cherry on top of this delicious, delicious cake of a race.
It sure was. And with this, Jamal hops his way to a finish. 42, 47, 55 here on the clock. Official race time for Jamal. GG again. And of course, with this being lower brackets and the Dew taking the 2, that will mean the Dew advances against whoever wins out of the matchup between God and Tritonite, while Jamal is eliminated. But still, what an amazing turnaround run here from Jamal. And it's not even the last match we're going to see, since our runners agreed to play all 3 games. So we're gonna see another one of these right after this.
Yeah. And of course, we would like to give thanks to Grease again for restreaming, as well as for Skullblock and Solarion for helping track this race. And make sure everyone watching to stay tuned. We will be back in around 10 minutes to find just another fun, amazing Ori race for Game 3. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in 10 minutes.
welcome back to the Ori and the Blind Forest Randomizer Tournament 2021. Unfortunately for us here, Dedew has won over Jamal 2-0. Fortunately, however, they've agreed to play a very special seed for us as a Game 3. I'm Jay Halcyon. I'm joined here by 2Kill. 2Kill, what are we looking at for a seed today?
Yeah, both of our runners have agreed to turn on some additional settings for the randomizer, both shards and bonus light. So shards basically splits up our dungeon keys, the Gumon Seal, the Water Vein, and the Sandstone in 5 parts total, and scatters them randomly around the world. So instead of clues, we will just get nothing among our 3rd, 6th, or 9th tree. And bonus light adds some pickups to the pool that could be very interesting. For example, jump upgrades or skill velocities that change the way Ori moves, as well as some random warps in the world that warp you to any place in the world.
Yeah, even more places for Jamal to hide grenade to distract his opponent and be able to get to with these fun warps.
Yeah, in the first 2 races, that has definitely worked out nicely. So we will see whether that will happen this race as well, as our runners will be just about to start into the race. Dedew on the left, playing on German, Jamal on the right, playing on English. So yeah, just look out German if you know what kind of German is. You will see that the funky translations are kind of funny, as they are both onto the seat. In Vine, super sensitive Moki. Okay, that's
Okay,
a seat name.
we've got a super sensitive Moki here, so hopefully that super sensitive Moki leads us to some interesting pathing for both of our runners here as they pick up that ability cell off the get-go. Very nice if they decide to go into Blackroot early.
So, Hell, I was thinking with the first seats being those starts that were very similar to each other, what do you think we will get in this 3rd race? A completely different start, like a Bash Nade start, or something that starts with Stomp as well?
Well, we've got Climb here already, so we might see a grenade jump start, maybe with a slightly hidden grenade. We might also see Jamal continuing to hide Bash. We got word between races that Bash was grenade locked in both of our previous seeds. So hiding grenade was just as good as hiding Bash.
Yeah, and with Jamal also being the only one who ever got grenade in both races, let's see if we can do the same trick in this race, as both of our runners are deciding to get into Blackroot Burrows without checking the keystones first, so little optimization as they don't have to backtrack into that area later. And Blackroot is most likely to have the progression right here. It's a pretty slow area, but getting it out of the way this early always is a good thing, since our mode to be able to finish the game is still forest trees, so both of our runners have to get to the dash and later the grenade tree right here.
Yeah, exactly. And Dedew taking just a little bit of time lost there, accidentally saving on the Glades teleporter instead of just opening his save anywhere. So giving up about 4 seconds to Jamal. Jamal using that to jump out ahead. Of course, they don't know that each other are going into Blackroot together, but here they go. Jamal jumping across, making some very daring choices, jumping back across that spike pit.
Yeah, and both getting those wall jump ramps right here. Dedew having a bit more trouble, while Jamal got it fairly quickly. Now setting up for it again on the left, and gets it now. And there is our first jump upgrade. So this basically enhances the height our runners can use any jump, including wall jump actually, not climb, because you don't jump at climb. And that can open up some pickups that are not required in the logic, but you can check them regardless, and I'm sure our runners will make use of that as they are both heading back into the area. Just some more auto-scrollers ahead of them before they can reach their first tree, the dash tree.
Yeah, of course, if you're very used to the way that standard Ori plays, these jump grades and skill velocities can throw you off just a little bit. So We'll see how accustomed our runners are to those. Thankfully, there is a bind that they can use to shut off the those speed movement boosting abilities, but can be very valuable to be able to jump just a little bit higher in a lot of places.
Yeah, and especially in combination with stuff like charge jump, that just really enhances.
Oh no,
it.
and Jamal falling down into the pit, going back to his save on the teleporter.
Ooh,
That's an oof.
Yeah, he spells out an L. I'm not entirely sure what he means by that. Probably that was not the best move he could have done. But he is back in Blackroot. Wow. Say that 3 times in a row, that will be hard, as Dedew is lifting the darkness in a second, toggling his movement bonuses so you can decide whether you want to jump higher or not. And especially if we get the grenade jumps that we're currently 1 out of 3 at, you want to toggle that off before getting into the final escapes, because, yeah, you will soft block if you have the skill velocity up there.
Yeah, and now Dedew making this play over the Crushers. We've seen this a lot, finding a Sunstone Shard back there. So interesting. We could be seeing some early Horu plays. Of course, they need... And a Water Vein Shard. Oh, wow. Blackroot just a bit loaded today.
And one important thing to point out here is that although it says 3 Water Vein Shards are needed and 3 Sandstone Shards, Horu or Ginso don't get into Logic until you find all 5. Of course, not all 5 are needed to get into it, but just like if we don't see the last one, it might actually mean that the region is not quite into Logic, as Dedew is glitching out the lever to get through this area, even without dash. Basically, using a rekindle, the ability you just get in this base menu, base game, of course, to get up here. This climb ramp is quite a bit hard. He's trying to get a micro ledge right there to be able to get up there. So this is definitely not in Logic. Normally, that one pickup would be in Logic. Gets it this time, can get to this area, and will use another save anywhere to be able to glitch out the boulder, because this time they for once don't have Stomp going into this area and want to keep the Frunky alive.
Yeah, and of course, this being one of those places where that jump grade does not help Dedew climb up higher and faster. That micro ledge being at a specific spot where it's easy to hit with the standard jump height, but almost impossible to hit with a jump grade. So having to toggle that off, but getting it pretty quickly after doing that. And now Jamal following him down into this boulder chase area. Grotto teleporter out of Logic, so no worries about needing to Frankie walk for either runner, thankfully.
Yeah, at least that one Frankie walk is out of the pool, but of course the reverse Frankie walk here in BRB could still be a thing if they don't find charge jump or stomp. And there's clean water, something that we haven't found a lot in the last seeds. And there have been swims in both seeds, so maybe there will be swims in this seed as well. As Dedew is now going into Glades, has 2 more pickups he can check than he would normally have with that clean water that he found. Gets his first keystone, so the keystones might have been here all the time for all this time. For all we know, we will see in a second whether they needed that clean water. No, there's the second keystone, so that could have been an intended progression, as they found another extra double jump, which will be helpful if they find double jump. And I believe there's more double jumps in the pool than normally is. Oh my god, 360 experience! That means that clean water was very late in the Logic, and that is definitely a hint towards where Dash might be.
Yeah, and not just dash, but also stomp being the important skill to get to that boulder in Logic. So we may not be seeing stomp for a very, very long time in this seed, in contrast to our previous seeds where it was just hanging out on that Blackroot health cell. Uh-oh,
Yes.
Dedew taking some damage here. Dodge. Oh no, gets hit by the spikes and goes back to his Ghost Door save. Goes back in to collect his extra double jump, and actually will double back for this 360 experience.
This early experience can be quite nice. We can see that he gets several level ups out of it. So more than 2 ability points that he can use later if he finds Dash, or even if he wants to go for Sense to be able to track down those shards that he needs or some additional skills. This is a very heads-up play in my opinion, because later on you will need more XP in order to level up. Finds more keystones here, not quite able to open the door, will have to go through the loop to find another keystone or another piece of progression for now. Of course, he could also decide to go into Grotto, but he knows that is not in Logic and will take quite a while to get into Logic probably, unless they find Dash fairly early. And there's our first warp to the Sunstone plant, so that will go right there. Dedew deciding to go for it and collect the Sunstone because he can't break the plant right there, but he can take the Sunstone. If that turns out to be something important, that is huge, but Jamal is right there to follow, realizes he can't do the plant, so does not go for the Sunstone, so eyes on the left.
Yeah, and I think Jamal there, he dropped a save right underneath the pickup and then decided to take the warp, but didn't open up a save anywhere. I think that was the error he decided to back out from. Dedew seeing a keystone there on the Sunstone, that would be his second keystone, which would let him get into Spirit Caverns, but he's not going to keep it for now. Going back into this wall jump area, he knows there's some sort of progression hidden here because of his experience with the randomizer. So he's going to be looking for that. A second water vein shard. Easy work of that baby Iceless, thanks to that fantastic jump upgrade. And taking an intentional death there to reset, he got hit once by those spinners, and so was not able to make the damage boost work out. Gets his second keystone, gets a mapstone. We'll see how soon he goes back to put that in.
And while we can't quite see a mapstone 9 water vein right here, we could see a mapstone 7, 8, 9 rest for the water vein shards, which, given that they already have 2 water vein shards, is not very likely, but something to look forward to, as Dedew is getting to his second tree right here, the wall jump tree, and can check the more pickups. They are just getting all the shards that they need. In the last 2 seeds, they were given the sandstone fairly early. Seems like this time it will be the same, and we get a warp to the Wilhelm experience. Right next to it. It's an ability cell, so yeah, the dude doesn't decide to keep it. Actually does, okay. And will now head further into Glades, possibly? No. Looks like he's going to teleport to Moon Grotto, so... Or, well, he's not sure what he's doing.
May have remembered he hasn't gone to Spirit Caverns yet there. Jamal actually decided to keep that keystone off of the Sunstone check and opened up Spirit Caverns on his way down here. So didn't go in. We haven't seen what's there just yet. Ooh, Jamal taking another death there, falling into the wall jump tree area. He actually did that earlier this best of 3 series as well. So maybe not as comfortable with that particular movement as Dedew is. But Dedew opening up Spirit Caverns, going to give us our first look at what these 4 pickups hold coming up here soon. Dodging these fireballs. They do only 2 damage, but that's a lot of damage when you only have 3 health.
Yeah, definitely. And with only 3 health and 11 minutes in, maneuvering through Nibel can, as you see, be very hard. But Dedew still using some damage boosts to some advantage. They have 4 keystones still now, so can go through the door. Looking for another micro ledge. This is, of course, not in Logic, but he will get this extra look at this. It's a mega energy, so not that useful, not any kind of progression, but can now go through the door and will skip the cutscene to the Hollow Grove teleporter, using the save anywhere right here. As Jamal is heading back through the wall jump loop, will collect this mapstone and then drop down. And
yeah, it looks like Dedew, not unfortunately for us, as much as we would love him to go check Gladeser early for us with that jump grade and mega energy, he's not going to choose to do that. Going to instead head over, follow the logic some more, and get this charge flame tree pickup as well as this XP below it. Swamp teleporter, that's our key out of Glades. So now that our runners can get to the Grotto teleporter by walking to it, so we might see them both decide to use that Grotto teleporter to get into Grotto and start making some more checks. Jamal taking that warp to the Wilhelm XP, he's going to get his, oh my goodness, it's Glide.
This seed is an interesting start for sure with Climb and Glide. Not too much opened up by that just yet. He can. He will open Death Gauntlet door actually with the 4 energy that he's gotten. And that is also a very quick way into Moon Grotto, even a bit. And he can decide to maybe dip underwater. It does not have 4 energy, of course, because that was only Mega energy, but will go through to Moon Grotto via this entrance and can use this Throne Key to stomp. So very nice usage of that Mega energy by Dedew, as he can check a few more pickups. Does find another health cell, very nice, is now at 4, so that is more convenient than 3, obviously. So going to get into the dense area.
We'll see on the right, Jamal actually heading back to plug in this mapstone. We haven't seen Dedew do this just yet, just for experience, unfortunately. Nothing quite as game-breaking as we'd like to see. Dedew heading up, maybe has forgotten that he got the Grotto teleporter on a pickup earlier, but is going to instead go up, touch it, open a save anywhere, actually. Okay, I like this. He's going to use this to glitch out the bridge cutscene and level up an ability, and then we will start to see what Gumo's hideout holds for our runners, while Jamal follows in Dedew's footsteps, checking out this Spirit Caverns area, and will eventually find his Glide and Swamp teleporter.
Yeah, and as Dedew is making his way into Moon Grotto, he finds Charge Jump, so we're 2 out of 3 on the seed already. Now we just need to find that grenade, so let's see where Jamal has hidden it this time. This just opens up a lot. Like, it's not quite the blue breakage that they want maybe in going into Grotto, but definitely a huge thing, as Dedew now also gets his 4 experience for the first mapstone turn. And remember, those don't matter where you put it in, it just matters which mapstone you turn it in. So this is the first mapstone, so both of our runners got 4 experience off of it, as Dedew can now just check everything here with the verticality that he has. Gets another 4 experience for his trouble, and a lot of experience underwater, just again showing that clean water was way out of logic.
Yeah, of course, something that our runners can do now with that Charge Jump and Climb, they actually have a decent amount of left side access now through that Wilhelm XP warp. They can use Charge Jump and Climb to break those Kuro rocks. We'll see if either of our runners decide to do that once Jamal gets his Charge Jump. I don't expect that he'll miss that particular location.
Yeah, and we see another mini-boss right here. Of course, this is a pickup that is quite slow, but with Charge Jump dealing 50 damage, this is really sped up. And as the Spiel gets gespeichert in German, because German translations are always fun, he gets wall jump, another kind of wall interaction. So yeah, definitely not a wall surfed seed as well here. Only the double jump for
and the Ginso teleporter. So he's already got 2 shards for the water vein, so that Ginso teleporter will be active as soon as he picks it up. Can now go to the Ginso teleporter and actually work through Ginso backwards. Of course, he's only got 1 keystone, so we'll see. There is a possibility of duplicating those keystones on the backside of that top door. We'll see if Dedew is aware of that particular key dupe. And oh no, he's only got 1 keystone, and he's over here at the double jump tree door, and decides to altar out and go exploring elsewhere. Unfortunate lack of that keystone.
Yeah, we have said before that keystones are an important resource in the randomizer. Here you can see exactly why. Every single tree on the right side, besides the Blackroot Burrows trees, is locked behind keystone doors. So Dedew only having 1 is now teleporting to maybe key dupe somewhere, or just dig for some more. I think he will just dig for some more as he's teleporting to Thornfeld Swamp right here.
Yeah, this is, of course, where the logic wanted them to go. Of course, it could have been trying to eventually get them to find that charge jump, but I don't believe where it was quite in logic yet with what they had. So there's something else out here in the world for them to find. And meanwhile, Jamal deciding to go to Death Gauntlet backwards here. Instead of using energy to open up that Frankie Walk door, he's just going to walk in from the right using that teleporter. And oh my goodness, Dedew finding a skill velocity upgrade. He's that's going to make his charge jumps just a little charge jumpier in combination with, of course, the already found jump upgrades. And finally, a second energy cell for our runners.
Yeah, definitely a great find. Energy and the ability to save. As we get the Sorrow teleporter, just all the teleporters this seed, this will open up the left side, especially with that climb charge jump that they have. This is a very nice way to get to the left side. And there's our third Sunstone shard, so if Dedew wanted, he could just go mode this pretty much. Of course, not a very easy set of skills to do stuff with, but definitely doable, especially if he finds some more jump upgrades. The final escape is definitely doable with what he has. And he heads into Swamp right now. This is still forest trees, so he has to visit every single skill tree location. So we'll be careful to do that. As Jamal on the right is just basically doing what Dedew did a few minutes ago, so nothing new here, as Dedew still does not have any keystones, so has to swim right here to be able to maybe find some more keystones. And yeah, keystones being starved on the seat is definitely a problem. He probably wishes he had kept that Sunstone keystone, as he finds another water vein shard. So with that being underwater, that definitely means that Ginzo was very late in logic, because remember that clean water was just was just hiding so much experience that was definitely very late in logic.
Yeah, and of course, they do have that Ginso teleporter. They've found those water vein shards. Of course, our runners are not going to be beholden entirely to what the logic thinks they should do. But Dedew, still not finding any keystones. He's got one pickup left here, and it's just a health cell. So let's see where he goes. He does have access with that Sorrow teleporter to the backside of the Sorrow door, which is one of the quickest keystone duplications that you can do in the game. We'll see if he heads in that direction or where he decides to go. Looks like back over to the right. He's going to keep looking for more resources, more skills, and go from there.
Yeah, he decided to go into Blackroot Burrow, so definitely doing all the trees that he does not need keystones for, and maybe hoping to find some keystones right there. As Jamal on the right is also checking the mini-boss. Of course, nothing too important right there. What to do
it is wall jump. Wall jump's very important.
Fair. Mini-boss rarely holds anything important, so remembering that it has something important is very hard. As Dedew is checking those lower pickups right here in Blackroot Burrows that are not in logic, because actually they are in logic with climb, charge, jump. Just the pickups next to the tree are not, and he's making great use of that jump upgrade, and finds a broken Forlorn TP that he's gonna keep, because remember, there's also a fairly quick key dupe at Forlorn. If he finds another Gumon Seal shard, he could use that to get the keystones that he needs.
Yeah, and he's going to continue through here, ducking under this laser. This area is not in logic, and finds Bash. Jamal not finding it first, but hiding it pretty darn well, I think, with considering all that they've been through so far. 22 minutes to find Bash. Not bad, Jamal. Good job.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, not hidden well enough for him to find it first, but it definitely lives up to the lore right here to just hide Bash every single seed. And Dedew checking his ability count will probably do a zombie through the lasers. Yes, he will save in between the lasers while he dies to make sure he can see some more frames after he respawns to go through them. Nicely done. Only used one ability save to get through there, and can now head to the grenade tree with some double bashes, because we actually found Bash this seed.
Yeah, and that Baneling getting thrown very high, that skill velocity increasing the speed at which Bash throws both you and the enemy. So having to wait just a little bit longer than usual to get it back after missing the double bash, but getting it anyway, skipping over the cutscene, no team story time this time, and he's going to Zoo Absorbient this light on the grenade tree, as Jamal is taking his climb, charge jump, and glide, and using that Sunstone Plant Warp to get into the left-hand side of the map and go straight to Sorrow Pass. I love to see this. He's checking around, finding a keystone. He's got a save set up there. He can keystone dupe on this door. And a second energy cell for Jamal. Oh, bonus light is so much good.
Jamal definitely knows what he's doing. LostDedew is following him with another way of going from the other side. Definitely the slower way of getting to the charge jump tree, but just as much fun to see and watch, because he has to do some shenanigans, actually. Actually, I'm wrong, he has Bash. Remembering what skills randos have is also impossible as commentators, so yeah, he's setting up for a zombie, actually.
It really is. And Jamal, while Dedew is zombieing across here, maybe forgetting that he has Bash.
It kind of looks like it.
Is also doing a key duplication here, is up to 9 keystones now as he goes through this sour door finally, and we'll get to the charge jump tree not too far behind Dedew and get an energy cell. Jamal will be certainly happy to see that. Dedew has quite a few by now, though.
Yeah, definitely. He will still... Dedew on the left will still dupe some. He definitely forgot he has Bash at this point. He's setting up for the dupe. As you can see, not a great distance. So needs to keep the Frankie alive to be able to die, and basically trick the game into thinking that the keystones have to be given back, but are also in the inventory at the same time, basically duping the amount of keystones you have. And he's going up to 10, it looks like. He still has Ginso to do, he has Double Jump Tree and Swamp Tree, so definitely a heads-up play of him to go that far up. Might even go for another one, yeah.
Yeah, and I really like this here from Dedew. After running out of keystones so many times, deciding, you know what, I'm done with that. I don't want to have to find keystones anymore. I've got charge jump, I've got glide, I've got climb, I've got, as soon as I remember it, bash. It looks like, yeah, Dedew is just gonna get that trolley keystone there and head on down out of Sorrow. He might be thinking of go-moding this from here.
Yeah, definitely. He has all the things he needs. There's even the Forlorn teleporter activated now for him. You need 2 shards, so basically... Yeah, there he goes into Forlorn. This is Stomp locked, so they don't have Stomp, but he can still check it. Of course, he cannot check the plant, as he does not have any way to break it. And... yeah, he's just going back into Sorrow right here. We'll get his feather tree in a second after the spurt is done trolling him. And yeah, this looks like Gomo to me, what he's doing.
Yeah, and gonna fall down here. He's got the full Sunstone, so Wilhelm will be shooting these rocks for him, bonking off of Kuro's head, and falling down to get his feather. And Jamal, following suit here, using that XP, that Wilhelm XP warp, will latch onto the side here and use climb and charge jump. But oh no, taking a death. Good thing he saved. Getting some value out of that. That bird is very rude. Come on, bird, you're giving us a bad name.
I mean, birds are just really rude in the seat, and they are both getting their feather basically seconds apart, as Dedew is setting up for a hyperspeed right here to
yeah, eyes on the left here.
Get
as
into
Dedew
Misty.
Flies across to Misty. Who needs grenade for grenade jumps? Not Dedew.
Yeah, definitely making some good work of that menuing right there. As he's heading through Misty now, should be fairly comfortable, of course, without having dash. This is quite a slow area because we have to manually walk all the way through here. Finds a map stone as Jamal is dropping down into the valley and yeah, getting some experience as Dedew is remembering that he has Bash, indeed. Bash is
Always-
the thing that he possesses.
Always a good thing to remember the skills you have, and always a little bit of a facepalm when you do remember, oh yeah, I have Bash. Getting a second skill velocity upgrade, gonna turn off his movement bonuses here, as bashing into the spikes off of that bird is just no fun. But gonna continue through, not have any trouble now as he zooms off of these enemies. Jamal on the right, also murking his way through Misty. Of course, he hasn't just forgotten that he has Bash, he hasn't found it yet. Jamal has hidden Bash so well that he himself did not find it.
Yeah, that you need to be careful about your superpowers. Sometimes they just turn into something that is bad for you. In this case, Jamal hiding Bash in all 3 seeds so well that he didn't even find them himself. Of course, in the first 2 seeds he was closer because we get to know that in both seeds Bash was grenade locked and he was the only player who got grenade. But with that, Dedew has collected his 7th tree and only 3 to go with the Storm, Bash, and double jump tree that 2 of them he couldn't reach because he didn't have enough keystones. That problem is solved now, and even the 3rd run requires keystones, so luckily he has duplicated those keystones to just go into Moon Grotto right here and do his double jump tree, finally.
Yeah, and those 10 keystones on Dedew's game going to be very useful here as he go modes towards those last 3 skill tree locations that he needs to touch. Of course, having been to 2 of them already and just not having enough keys to get to them can be very frustrating, but he's got enough now. He's going to come back and just race through as quick as he can to get to them here, using that. I love skill velocity upgrade bashes. They're just so zoomy.
I mean, at this point, he doesn't even need grenade jumps because his bashes are as quickly as they are, so that is always fun to watch. So thanks to both of our runners to agreeing to that. This is, of course, in the normal pool for the tournament, so we've had other tournament races that were actually deciding that had bonus light, but for us, both of our runners decided to do this in their 3rd match to kind of give a show. Especially nice for Jamal as his final goodbye from the randomizer tournament. This is the lower bracket, so unfortunately we won't see any more of him in this tournament, but he is doing really, really well in this seed as well, and making quick work of Misty, even without Bash. That is very, very hard to do, so a round of applause for Jamal right here.
Yeah, and of course, Dedew has not yet won this race. He's still got 2 trees left to go to and the final escape to contend with, but it really is Dedew's race to lose in this match. As he works his way back through Moon Grotto, finding another jump upgrade just for extra memes, I guess. He's already checked most of these pickups, never found anything to break the plants, but that's okay. And Jamal gonna be on the right here, showing us our first glimpse of the Ginso tree through that teleporter. And looks like he's gonna choose violence here, take out the mini-boss. Not necessary to do that to continue through, but doesn't seem to matter. He's gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, definitely a good way to get maybe some anger out that he might have not found Bash even in this 3rd seed. But he finds some underwater skill usage. That is very nice in combination with Dash. Not quite usable with a lot of the other skills, or not quite advantageous with the other skills. As he's checking those pickups with the climb, charge, jump that he has. Finds some ability cells for his trouble, as Dedew on the left is picking up his 2nd to last tree, only the Bash tree that Jamal is heading to left. So we'll quick work out of that, and that skill velocity on the climb charge time.
538 XP. Of course, we do know one of our water vein shards was hidden under the water, and we know how late water was in this seed. But oh my goodness, 538 experience in this Ginso tree for Jamal. That's a lot of experience. That should be telling Jamal that, you know, maybe this is somewhere really late in the seed.
Yeah. Maybe he goes back into Blackroot Burrows, but at this point, I mean, he still has the grenade tree to go, so he could go dip into where we know Bash is. But yeah, with the Dew on the way to his last tree with enough keystones, so lucky on that side. I really think there's yeah, there have to be some major mistakes by the Dew at this point to still lose this game. As Jamal is heading back into the Ginso tree. Is he actually going back up right here, or what is his plan? Yeah, it looks
Yeah, it
like
looks
he's
like
going up.
He's heading up. We might be he might be thinking of trying to do a Ginso escape to swamp routing here. Yeah, with the 538 experience that he found earlier, I'm not expecting that he's gonna think that he can find, you know, any more skills here in the Ginso tree. So this almost has to be a play at making just barely shy of the core skip. He's gonna reload his save, maybe be able to get that just a little bit faster.
So basically, the Ginso tree has those 2 rooms that you have to complete in the base game to destroy those faulty spikes around the Ginso heart. And a core skip basically means that you manage your XP just right to get a level up to be able to destroy both sides from only one side. So that is a major time save is used in some categories of the speedrun. We'll now try to get that experience as well as... Yeah. Can he get it? Can he get it? It's not quite fast enough this time either. I don't think without dash that is quite possible. So unfortunately has to do the right side the quote-unquote normal way as well. Of course
he might
just
have some troubles with this though. I don't believe you can charge. Yeah, you can't charge jump the right side of this.
Yeah, actually true. You can stomp it, but unfortunately not charge jump it, as Jamal learns here. Unfortunately, just have to back out again as the Dew is approaching Horuberg, as it is called in German. We will see that pop up in a second as he's making his way to the final escape in Mount Haru right here.
Yeah, and showing off some of those, Dedew being a controller or hybrid player here, showing off some of those instantly charged charge jumps to go along with his skill velocity and jump upgrades, just making very clean work of Horu Fields, getting a lot of distance out of those charge jumps. Now, we'll see if he decides to choose violence, or yes, he's going to drop down here and choose the path of violence, see if he can get some help from the wall bros. Unfortunately, no, not being cooperative, even giving him a send back to the door. We'll see. Goes at it again, having a little bit more trouble with this, but does finally get a good solid hit on that mini boss. And it's still up. Come on, Dedew. There we go. There he got it. Opening that door.
Let's see if we will check validation XP as well. Yes, he's heading there. Maybe there's some other skill this time right there. The sunstone shards were not hidden underwater, so a health leech that would have been helpful before. That is one of the bonus light pickups that basically enables you to attack enemies and regain some health by damaging them. So now that Dedew has that, it's absolutely worthless besides the fish in the final swim. But I don't think they won't give him any trouble as he is getting to the final escape, as Jamal is getting to his second to last tree right here.
Yeah, a very nicely done charge jump past that pinwheel of lasers for Jamal. But eyes on the left, Dedew is doing this escape. He's shut off his movement abilities for the moment. He's going to work his way through this room. He's realizing maybe that this is a bit harder escape than he might have signed up for. The timing on this first room is pretty tight if you have to charge jump and if you have to charge jump it from the wall and not have dash to get across quickly. So he's going to go for it again, gets it this time, very nice, and now has to decide how he wants to handle this second lantern room. And
with the movement bonuses.
Looks like
nice.
Plus skill velocity charge jumps is going to be the way. Dropping down into this elemental room next, He doesn't have enough health to do more than 1 damage boost here. Takes 1 hit, 1 health left. Thankfully, the water is clean. The fish are the only thing between him and that final room. He's got glide, he's got charge jump, he's got a million ability to jump up. And of course, he has bash. How could we forget that he has bash?
I mean, he could forget he has bash, so why shouldn't we? Yeah, does not have grenade to do the final grenade jump, so GG to him with a normal bash, as Jamal is now heading into Swamp, and Dedew now finishing with a 3-0 versus Jamal will head into the next round of the best of 3s and will be facing the winner of Tritonite versus Guard next. So that is a match coming up next Sunday, if you want to get that in your calendar and are excited for that. But so far, good job to him. He has showed what an amazing player of the BF Randomizer he is, and GG to him.
Yeah, definitely GG to Dedew. On the right, meanwhile, Jamal, still playing this seed, is making his way to his final tree here in Swamp, finds his 3rd Sunstone Shard. Good timing, he won't have to go hunting for them at all. And he's got 3 Keystones, thankfully, just enough to open that door, fighting the Rhino to put in his Mapstone, getting a second, or an extra Keystone there. Nothing too big, but nice to have regardless. He's gonna head up here, get that Stomp Tree, and looks like he's going to try and make it up to this energy cell high up, but not quite taking the right path to get to it with just that charge jump.
Yeah, with the skill velocities and jump upgrades, it's sometimes kind of hard to know how high exactly your jumps go, because like you're not usually playing bonus light. If you're not usually playing bonus light, it's very hard to know how high the jumps go. And there's of course more keystones behind the keystone door. That's just what always happens. More keystones as he collects his last tree, and Dedew is watching a bird being sad.
And of course, all of those keystones that Dedew would have found real nice to have hidden behind those keystone doors, the seed gen being especially rude. But
Yeah.
Jamal has his 10 trees, has his Sunstone, is on the way to Mount Horu. He's going to teleport back to Thornfelt Swamp and work his way across. Never did find that bash, unfortunately. So we'll see how he handles this very technical escape sequence with the abilities that he has.
Unfortunately, does not quite have enough ability points to skill Ultra Defense. Luckily, though, has that clean water as well, so that is no problem to him, at least that section. And at this point, I wonder where Dash was. We know it was very late in Logic because we got to climb Charge Jump to be able to break the rock, so only the Dash is really missing to get to that clean water pickup, and I wonder where in the world it hid. But unless Jamal just goes around the world and randomly finds it, we will have to maybe ask for the spoilers for the seed in order to find where that was.
Yeah, of course, Jamal here, coming through Horror Fields, he's going to check a few more pickups, it looks like. Maybe looking for ability cells for Ultra Defense. He needs one more ability cell or a level up will get him Ultra Defense. Maybe some more health would be very good. He's only on 5 health plus regen, which is not a lot when you have to damage boost in the Elemental room. So, gonna come across here, save. Oh, does he have a way to get through this? Yeah, of course he's gonna. Yeah. I love this trick and I forget about it every time.
Yeah,
Goodbye,
this is the best way to get the Baneling through the door, in my opinion, of course. You just fire at it, and it basically soaks up all this, all the mobility you give to him. He's gonna show it to us as well because he's such a nice player. And eventually, when the Baneling has enough momentum stored up, he will just fly away. So, also interesting to notice that Dedew will realize he had Bash after the Lantern Room. Of course, we as well were like, oh yeah, he can use the many jumps he has, but of course he could have also used Bash to get through it. But remembering skills, especially in the third seed, when the first two seeds didn't give you Bash, is really hard.
It really is. And Jamal using this super charge jump that he's got, trying to get up to this rock to knock it down and get into the lower part of Horu Fields. Is he still looks like he's trying to get down there. Gonna use this Baneling just like that, drop the rock, and we'll see what is in wait here below Horu Fields, as Jamal's still looking for those elusive ability points or health to help him navigate this final escape.
There's Charge Flame, there's Blue Breakage. 43 minutes into a seed, and we finally found a way to break plans. That is hilarious, actually. And another Keystone, so decides not to keep that. We'll get the Charge Flame, though, because why not? I mean, it helps with the final escape, because it's another way to break those floors that Dedew had trouble with, so definitely can help ease that up. But in the grand scheme of things, he was maybe hoping for that Bash to find it. Of course, we know where it was this time. Yeah, as he's entering Horu, there's just the one choice between violence or door warp left for him to do, and we will see whether he chooses violence as Dedew did before.
Yeah, and of course, Charge Flame having a use here as well. He can use it to bounce that boss's shots back at him. Gonna check a few more pickups here. Finds a health cell. That'll be very useful, especially if he can get either enough XP to level up or an ability cell, which is exactly what he finds. Heading back down to that teleporter, he's immediately going to go for that ultra defense just in time before he takes that hit. And now we'll see if he decides to save and go for a door warp or choose violence. Looks like he's going to try for door warp.
Respectable decision. This is definitely the faster trick of the two, and after one attempt decides to go for violence. Also, I like this. I'm always an advocate for violence in video games, not in real life, especially only in this video game. So he's making quick work of that final mini-boss of the game, and will probably also check validation XP. Just to clarify, this experience is not required to validate a run. Every run is valid if you follow our other rules, but this is kind of the meme, as it is the last pickup before the final escape, as he now enters the said final escape, and Big Angry Burp will soon swoop down to hunt him.
Yeah, and this is, again, a very technical final escape. Jamal on 6 health plus that regen. He does have ultra defense, but the only major power skill that he has is that charge jump, along with those skill velocity upgrades and jump upgrades. And oh no, taking a little bit of a slip off of the edge there, falling into the lava. He's going to try that again, take a second charge jump, and then head across, dodging these boulders, using that charge flame to quickly get through to break that floor, and then he's going to pop up and need to work his way around this fire pillar. No problems. He's going to wait just a moment here. Oh, looks like he fell off the wall instead of charging up a charge jump. A little bit of trouble you can sometimes have on keyboard, but continues on, no problems. Damage boost, elemental room. He's got 3 health left. He's got health leech from that validation pickup, so he can charge up a little bit more health off of the fish, and then he's got his charge jump boosted and the ability to glide in this final room, so he should be able to finish this seed with no problems whatsoever from here.
Yeah, definitely. Just gonna wait 10 more seconds. Final jump? Okay, final jump. GG to Jamal as well. And we got some word from our lovely restreamer Grease as to where the missing skills were in the seed. Buckle up, everyone. Dash was in the Grotto Vault health cell, so not quite what our players could reach, as they only get very little energy in the early game. Grenade was on the right Forlorn plant. Double Jump was the first keystone in Forlorn. And Stomp both runners ran right past Stomp. It was the XP over the final mini boss, so that is something they could have gotten. But GG to both of our runners for finishing the seed even without having found any of those skills.
That's so good. And of course, we saw Dedew, our winner here, even stand right next to that forlorn plant, of course, without the ability to break it open and get the tasty, tasty grenade inside. But Jamal finishing up here, just holding right here, waiting for Naru to walk to the left, maybe throw in some hops for good measure.
So,
yep, there we go. Those swag Naru hops, finishing off in style.
Yeah, he's going to finish with a 48-39. Very great job from him for doing that. And logic-wise, that means that you needed to go into horror fields to get your charge flame, to be able to get to that grenade, and also get your stomp from that horror XP to be even able to get that grenade. That is wild. That is just wild.
The logic there was quite crazy. Of course, our runners broke it willingly and gleefully, which is always what we like to see.
Yeah, definitely provides a lot of fun to watch. And we have both of our runners on deck, so we will pull them in for a quick interview. GG to both of you on that series, and GG to Dedew for winning.
Thanks. It was really fun.
Thank you.
So getting right in on the questions, Jamal, how did you feel about your ability to hide bash in all those 3 seats for you?
I mean, it went into yesterday as well. I played a total, like, the last 6 seeds I've played, I haven't seen a glimpse of bash. So, like, you know, this is just business as usual for me at this point.
Yeah, you were also successful hiding bash in the first 2 seats from Dedew. Not quite on the last, but definitely lift up to your name right here. So GG on that.
If there's one thing I'm known for, I'm glad it's that.
Definitely worse things to be known for, of course. Dedew, winning this, you will be going up against the winner of Guard versus Tritonite next weekend. Any preferences, any predictions? How are you feeling about that matchup?
Actually, I would really like to face Trito. Just to eliminate him of the tournament already, Kappa. No, both could be like insanely good matches, so I don't really care actually. But yeah, I'm really excited to face one of them.
Yeah, we will be very excited to watch that. So going into that last seat that you played, because, well, the first 2 seats are quite a while ago, Jamal, you made some great uses of those warps from Bonus Light. Are you used to that, remembering them?
Not. Absolutely. So what happened there is I saw both of those warps to Sorrow, and I was like, I need to make a point to remember these, because then as soon as I got Climb, Charge, Jump, and Glide, my immediate thought was just, is this go mode? And I just decided to try to make it work. But, like, I don't usually play bonus pickups. This is, like, the 2nd seed ever that I've done with bonus pickups. The first one being the race against Clean last week. So, it was kind of just on the fly.
But you put on a great show with that, so GG to that. That was very nice to watch.
And Dedew, back to you. Early in this seed, you went down into Blackroot, you glitched out the boulder escape, and you found clean water behind the boulder. Then when you went swimming, you found 360 experience in that long swim. What were you thinking when you saw that number hidden behind clean water?
Yeah, I was thinking that Stomp must be buried somewhere. It ended up being buried. It was in Mount Uru, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it ended up being in the main room of Mount Horu, so quite buried.
So yeah, I was not expecting to find Stomp anytime soon, since that pickup behind the boulder is Stomp only locked in standard logic.
Yeah, definitely proved out to be true. So on the topic of skills, you had 2 seeds that were quite similar in terms of skills, and the 3rd seed shook that up quite a bit. How hard is it to remember which seed had which skills for both of you, starting with you, Dedu?
Actually, since they were like almost the same, I can remember them quite well. I know that Stomp was in like Boulder Escape, or like Brazil now, in both seeds. So
Yeah.
that was really funny actually, like the same kind of progression like with early dash and Stomp and charge jump.
Definitely. And for the third seed, did that also apply? Because it was quite different.
Oh, the third seed, I played terribly. Like I forgot pickups, I didn't know where to go. I was keystone stuff because I wasn't paying attention. I don't know where the keystones were that seed, but like I couldn't find any in the early game. It was pretty crazy. Then I went swimming, which was kind of a bad idea since all the water pickups got unlocked later on in Logic, which means it was pretty unlikely to find any keystones there. But yeah, I was still trying to find at least one so I could get to Storm Tree at least, but like didn't work out.
Yeah, quite unfortunate. Getting another health cell though was nice for you. So Jamal, same question to you. Playing all those three seeds with the first two being so similar, and even the third one being kind of similar, how hard is it to remember what kind of seed you're playing right now?
I think honestly having those first two be similar helps because like, I'm used to playing seeds back to back to back anyways. Like that's just a thing that I do when I decide to play the randomizer pretty regularly. So like I didn't mind it too much. It was a little bit upsetting that we had two almost identical jet seeds when I kind of just don't win jet seeds. But like keeping track of things was not too difficult for me at least.
Yeah, I can imagine that. So yeah, actually on the topic of fast seeds, you kind of mentioned you didn't like them probably because like you felt behind, or is that just a general thing that you prefer longer seeds?
I just generally like longer seeds. Like I enjoy the randomizer just doing its thing and kind of destroying your day. That's what I find entertaining. And just competitively, I haven't put as much time or like practice into this game as a lot of other people have. And so, a seed that's heavily reliant on doing a lot of consistent execution with good skills is just not a matchup I favor myself in typically. So it's mostly just general preference.
Fair enough. So yeah, with you also heading out of the tournament, what are your future plans? Will you still let Randomizer ruin your day after this tournament, or are you done for now?
I mean, I definitely still am playing this game. I like this game. I like this randomizer a lot. I have been playing it a lot recently, and I'm probably gonna take a little break and get caught up on other games on my backlog and things like that. But like, I definitely am planning on playing this for sure. I might, following my proclivity for bad seeds, might try to pick up some like the harder logic modes, maybe like figure out how master works or something like that at some point. But yeah, for the time being, not too much.
Fair enough. And with that, we will be actually closing out today's stream. We've had 3 incredible matches, so thanks to both of you for agreeing to even do the third one to show off this bonus light shard seed. Thanks for Jay Halcyon for that lovely co-commentary. Thanks for Fopio and Fox Diamond for helping with tracking, and thanks Grease for restreaming all of these 3 matches. I hope every one of you has a wonderful rest of your day, and to see you on next Sunday for Guard vs. Try tonight. So see you all then. Bye.